Like I had to get some chargers, and also I was recording at 4K, like the highest 4K. So my camera got hot.
Oh shit! Did you bring down the quality?
I did, yeah. Okay. It's 4K, but it's not like the highest.
Okay, so it
should give me like 2 to 3 hours, 2.5 hours of like consistent recording. Okay, which should be more than enough. But hey, we can get it started now.
Facts. What is this, episode 2?
Episode 2, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 2 of the Living Large podcast. I'm your host, Large Koffi. I'm joined today by the demon, the demon of Puebla.
Oh,
Big Adam.
Yes, sir.
Yo,
this has been a long time coming.
I was literally just about to say that. It's been a long time coming. We've been needed to get this done.
Yo, facts.
Hey.
It should have been done in New Orleans. We had like a little pilot.
We had a little pilot in New Orleans. The New Orleans pilot was kind of funny.
I feel like if we would have looked back at it, we would just started dying because whatever we said didn't make sense. I was like falling over half the time.
Yeah.
Over here like,
hey,
and then coach was just like lean back, jean shorts, just straight chilling. That's the demon. That's the goblin.
That is the goblin. Yo, coach was on something different that night.
Facts.
Yeah, the jean shorts.
Yo, it was a look though.
It was a look.
He was rocking it. He was rocking it.
New Orleans was a vibe.
Was a vibe.
That was the culmination of a lot of years of work for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's I think that's a good spot to kind of open up the discussion.
Yeah.
I remember the day we both decided to start competing. I think it was the same day.
Yeah.
We both talked to Aries that same day. We were like, yo, I said I want to do bodybuilding. You said you want to do powerlifting.
Yeah.
And it started out at a couple meets. Your first meet was in Connecticut?
No, it was
Mass. It was Mass, right? Yeah. Mohegan? Was it the Mohegan one?
No, that was the second one. The first one was in, I think it's Worcester, Mass.
Okay. Worcester.
Yeah, that was like 4 years ago now.
That was a while ago.
Damn.
That was a while ago.
I was looking back at those videos because the 4-year anniversary is coming up from that meet. And just like the confidence now when I lift versus then, it's like night and day.
Different.
It's different.
Yeah.
Like
you were a lot smaller back then too.
Yeah, I think I was like mid 130s, high 130s back then.
Damn.
Now I'm like fucking mid 150s.
I mean, you also haven't taken like an off season at all in 4 years.
That
man just kept competing. And you got this Ironman gauntlet coming up, like 3-4 meets in a row.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later on, but I kind of want to open up the discussion talking about your powerlifting journey up until nationals, because like I've gone to all these meets, I've seen you compete time and time again, and then before you know it, boom, we're in Louisiana at nationals.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like drug test, it's crazy. Like we don't think about it in the moment, but then you put it in perspective, and it's like, yo, you're top 10 at nationals.
Yeah.
Big Abraham drug tested nationals just wins juniors.
Untested. He won
non-tested nationals.
Untested junior nationals.
Wins junior nationals.
We're not laughing at Abraham. We're laughing at how this man is just different.
Yeah, it's absurd. It's absurd because like I remember we had I went to middle school with this kid, so we had each other on Instagram, and he's always been strong as fuck. So I remember I was like, yo, bro, you should come to general. Yeah, we should get some lifts in. He was like, all right. Bro was just casually deadlifting 450, 460, 475 or something. Like, yo, you should powerlift. 1 year later, he's at nationals. You're at nationals. I'm trying to go to nationals next year. So it's our whole movement as a team has been completely different.
Yeah.
Just this last year, but you've kind of really spearheaded that, especially in powerlifting. Because I don't think Aries was coaching any powerlifter before you.
From not the best of my knowledge. No, I think he said he like trained a few people in like strength training, but it was never like for like a competition.
Right.
I think I was one of the first like approach him and be like, hey, I want to do powerlifting. And I think even Aries has grown over the last 4 years. Like his training style back then versus now is like night and day. Because I think back then he definitely put a lot of emphasis on like bodybuilding movements still, but then still implement strength training. Yeah. And I think as time went on and he saw like how I reacted or how Dan reacted, his like style just changed, and he like just elevated that like skill set of like, okay, what can I program, what works, what doesn't work. And I think that speaks volumes to his knowledge as a coach, because he's willing to adapt. Like not many people are willing to adapt,
right?
And I think that's why I've been with him for so long. It's just like that just continuing of like adapting in terms of his skill set.
Yeah, he gets better and better every single year. Every year.
Absolutely.
And like no session is easy, no program is easy. No. Every new block, it's like, all right, you're gonna hit this. And it's like, yo, what am I doing? Like even this block has been crazy. Yeah. It's not even like Monday chest, Tuesday legs, whatever. It's block 1, block 2, block 3. You're hitting squats 3 times a week, bench 3 times a week, all different variations. Yeah. But I just told you before, like as we started recording, I hit a PR just past Saturday.
Yeah, so you know it's working.
It's working.
It fucking hurts.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. You leave that gym and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like aches and pains, but then once you actually like back off a bit and actually start like reintroducing those like singles, it's like, oh, this has been working.
Right.
It's like that that Karate Kid, that Mr. Miyagi, that fucking wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it works.
Yeah. So after the first meet, you did the first meet.
Yeah.
What was your mentality going into that meet? Because you said you've gotten so much more confident. What was the mentality going into that meet, and why did it encourage you to keep going?
So my mentality going into the first meet was like, this was just gonna be a one and done. Like I think seeing Delmy want to do bodybuilding, and obviously I wanted to join this crew of like, all right, let's all compete. Powerlifting was always like my favorite training style, even before like we met at Max Lincoln. Like it was always my favorite training style. I followed a few programs here and there, and it was nothing like super crazy, not as crazy as now, but I think it was always gonna be like a one and done, like, all right, like we all like compete together, this is gonna be like a squad, like we all do something. And I think after that first one, just like, I don't know, the crowd, like putting on like a performance in front of people. Like I was always the shy kid growing up, so I didn't like public speaking or anything like that. So for me, this was like wild for me to do. But then after like overcoming that fear, overcoming that shyness of like performing in front of people, I don't know, there was like something that clicked that was just like, all right, like this is dope. Yeah, like people here are dope. Like it's just the powerlifting community itself, or I was just like, oh shit, like this is badass. Like there's a lot of supportive like people like around you that you don't even know. Right. And I think that's why I keep going back to, it's because every meet you meet somebody new, or you run into people like, for example, the Chicago boys.
Yeah, the Chicago boys.
So oh yeah, you were there. So when we went to Houston last year for Deadlifts for Dude, there was a guy. It was Oscar. Yeah. He's like, I saw you like in Chicago. He's like, are you from Chicago? And I'm like, no, like, but I did a competition in Chicago. Yeah. I never met him there, but he remembered. I think that's dope. It's like, yo, he doesn't know me, but he's like I've seen you, and like, even though we didn't talk that day, it was like dope to see, like, oh, like I recognize you, like, right, like good shit kind of thing.
From Chicago to Houston. Yeah. Like, what are the odds of that?
And we're from Rhode Island.
We're from Rhode Island,
yeah,
exactly.
So it's like wild, and I think that's why I keep like doing like out of state meets too. It's like, yeah, you meet these new people. Like even from nationals, I'm following a few people that I met there. So I think, yeah, that's.
You just keep building your network. Community gets bigger and bigger over time. Yeah. So it's actually funny you say that, because I'm doing a documentary on Russ right now. Okay. So I was looking up his lifting cast, well, his like open powerlifting, his history, and I saw a name on there, Megan Scanlon. Yeah, like, that name sounds so familiar. Turns out she competed at the meet you did in New York, the Powerlifting America one. Yeah. She won her class. Yep, I remember. I think she won Worlds in like 2019. Something like that. I was like, holy shit. Like, I saw her and I didn't even know that like she was that decorated. Yeah. But like, boom, she was at a meet that you did. Like, you competed with the world champion.
Yeah, and I don't think, like, I knew the name, but I think I was just so focused that day that I didn't really look it up until after, and I realized, oh shit, this is like a big time, big deal, like powerlifter. And obviously she looked at, like, you saw how she looked. She was
like, she was huge.
She was putting up some numbers too.
Oh, the numbers were crazy. I think she deadlifted like something in the 450s. Yeah. Bench 314. Yeah. I only know this because I was doing the research yesterday. But we were just talking about how it's crazy. Like, you don't even notice how expansive the community is overall. Yeah. Until you kind of like see people that went to Worlds, that went to Nationals. But now you're in that conversation. You're now within that realm. So like, at what point did you realize the transition happened? Like, you're not just somebody who powerlifts for fun. Like, you're a national level competitor now.
I think there was a moment in time, because I remember I talked to Aries about not wanting to take this as serious. And I don't know when that switch happened. I want to say it was like when we went to Daytona.
Okay.
I think it was that moment in that meet. And it wasn't that great of a meet for me, to be honest. Like, you know how like the judging was that day. It was very like all over the place.
That judge.
Yo, that judge.
He wasn't messing with you.
He wasn't. Even from jump, it was like, yo, what? Like, why are you wearing that? And blah, blah, blah. And it's like, he kept, like, even though, like, when I was weighing in, he was calling people in front of me. Like, he's like, oh, line up by these names. And then he called me. And I was like the third. And then he, like, skipped me. Went, like, 4 more. And then he recalled my name. And I'm like...
Yeah,
he was just not messing with me at all.
Yeah.
Like, he had, like, snarky comments. And it's crazy because in powerlifting, there's, like, subjective judging, I've come to find out.
Okay. Elaborate on that.
So... I think the way people judge depth, the way people judge the rules can vary from judge to judge. Not saying there's favoritism, but I think some, like, one judge's depth isn't the same as another judge's depth, if that makes sense.
No, it does.
So, like, we look back at the videos of that meet and we're like, yo, like, I hit depth. Like, there's no reason why I should have been called on depth.
Yeah.
But going back to that transition, I think it was that meet because I was like, it wasn't my best and I didn't want to settle for less. I think that was the moment I was like, no, I want to take this serious. Like, I don't want to have another meet where I'm like training for all these months just to be like, have like, how do you say, like a lackluster performance.
Gotcha. Which makes sense.
So I think it was that meet that changed it for me, where I was like, all right, now we have to actually put in work. Like, I don't want to like have the same performance happen again.
You put in all that work.
Yeah, and which is why it's like immediately after that meet, it was like 2 or 3 days later, I signed up for New York. Yeah. Which was like a month and a half after.
You were hungry.
I was hungry for like a better performance. And even that performance, it was slightly better. I definitely could have used more time off in between. But I think I was just so hungry to like get back in there and like, how do you say it? Like have like some sort of redemption. And even that meet was a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie, that meet was fun.
New York?
Yeah.
New York was fun. They just need to turn that stereo down just a little bit.
Oh, that
because that was kind of crazy.
That stereo was blaring.
That stereo was bumping. At one point you couldn't, but it was live though. Yeah. It was live, like,
but like such a small location too. It was like pretty dope.
It was a tiny gym, but like it was. They did a good job, like
setting,
organizing everything.
Like even the live stream, I went back and saw it after, and it was like really well done.
It was good.
Yeah.
But to touch on one thing that you mentioned before, the subjectivity.
Yeah.
And the squat. That's like one of the big differences in powerlifting bodybuilding. Yeah. Is like how subjective the judging is in bodybuilding versus in powerlifting. It's supposed to be the complete opposite, where like whoever lifts the most weight wins. It's that simple. You would think it's that simple, but like in the squat, depth to judge A doesn't mean the same as depth to judge B. Parallel is like the standard, right? But then you go parallel or just below parallel, a judge will say no. Yeah, like I've seen it happen to you. I've seen it happen to multiple other people where like they go ass to grass, they say no. And then you see somebody squat higher than you, and the judges are like, okay, that's fine. And
I feel like, I don't want to say it's like the anatomy of people, because obviously, you know, your depth may look different than my depth. But I think that's when it has to be like, okay, like, when is the rule going to be like fair across the board? Or, how do I say it? Or you can't really worry about that. Like, there's two, like, trying to play devil's advocate. It's like, should the rule change? But then again, there hasn't been an issue with the rule at all. Like, at least like from what I've seen in the powerlifting community. Or do you just do your best, like work to the depth that you know you're doing, and hopefully, you know, on meet day the judge will be like, all right, like that's depth. You know what I mean?
I feel like that's something they do take into account, because at my meet in Virginia, there were some big dudes that like they didn't have the range of motion to like hit ass to grass, but like they were kind of squatting with good depth for what their body would be capable of. And I feel like the judges do have to kind of take that into account too. But at the same time, they were doing some funny stuff where like, so one of the guys at my meet, I think his name was like Deshaun or something like that. He squatted, I think 800, no knee sleeves.
That was the big dude.
The big dude, no knee sleeves. He squatted 800 pounds, and it was his first meet. Bro learned commands that morning. Like he went from, I think he went from like six something to 800. Because at 600, he missed the rack command.
Yeah.
And even the announcer was like, remember your commands. And they were kind of telling him.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a little funny. Like, I don't know if they're supposed to do that or if they can do that. I haven't really seen that happen at other meets where like the judges are telling you what the commands are. I feel like they're not supposed to do that. But you kind of see little stuff like that in powerlifting where it's kind of like,
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't really see a ton of like subjectivity in the deadlift because a deadlift, unless it's hitching.
Yeah. Unless it's like, you're like, you can tell when it's hitching.
Yeah.
Because it's not one smooth motion. It almost looks like two.
Yeah.
And I guess, would you say, at least from your experience going to so many meets at this point, would you say powerlifting is more subjective in judging than bodybuilding?
No, definitely not.
No?
So powerlifting is definitely, there's more subjectivity than you would think.
Yeah.
But nowhere near bodybuilding. So in bodybuilding, you could have the best physique on stage and the judge is like, nah. Because you've been to enough bodybuilding shows now where you've kind of seen a guy who has better conditioning.
Yeah.
And like, the judges aren't even looking at him.
Yeah.
Or you see somebody who's like spilling over, they're holding on to a lot of water and the judges have them in first or second. You see somebody who's like super shredded, moved on to the side.
Right.
So at my last competition, I didn't do that well. I didn't bring my best package. So I feel like I don't have a place to even say that I should have been placed better or worse. Because like in bodybuilding, you need to bring your best package possible to be judged fairly, I feel.
Right.
And like, it's so subjective because the criteria that judges will judge you on, like, it depends on the judge. So like proper conditioning, what does that really mean?
Right.
One judge can be like, oh, I don't like, just because you're shredded, I don't see that as conditioned as possible for this division. It's just too inconsistent and it's too subjective. There's a lot of politics involved.
Right.
Powerlifting, like, there is subjectivity, but you can combat the subjectivity. So like the way you don't get fucked over is you squat ass to grass.
Right.
You squat ass to grass. And if like the judges fuck you, it's very obvious that they fucked you. Right. So at least you get that out of it. But in bodybuilding, like, you can bring your best package, and if the judge doesn't think it's the best package, then
they'll give you like a cookie cutter response.
Exactly, and you can't debate it, and you can't even be mad at it because like it's subjectivity. So that's why a lot of people, I feel like, quit bodybuilding because like you work so hard and you have to diet harder than in powerlifting.
Oh, absolutely,
and
I agree.
You go on that stage all for a judge to be like, yeah. But the worst thing I've ever seen in like bodybuilding is when at my last competition, right? They have like,
oh shit,
damn, fuck it, yeah, fuck it. They have like,
I can always just pull up the notes on my phone too.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I kind of remember most of them in my head too, but I was backstage, right? And they had like they have like these guest posers,
right.
The guest poser is a pro, but he also has competitors. Right. So now I'm on stage, I'm posing. I see the guest poser at the judges table talking to the judge. Yo, I'm laughing because it's so like it's so ridiculous.
Yeah. Was he like in his trunks and just like walked over?
Nah, he was in his shirt.
Okay.
He was in his shirt.
Yeah.
And he's at the judges table. Like, the judges are talking to him. The judges are talking to him. He's talking to the judges. I'm like, yo. So I'm flexing, right? I'm flexing hard. You were actually at this competition. It was the one in Boston.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
I'm flexing hard. And I'm like, hey, yo. Like, what's happening right now? Like, what's going on? Like, I'm getting more and more discouraged. Like, each second that goes by. Yeah. Because I'm like, yo, this is funny. Like, what's going on? Yeah. And he had competitors competing. And oddly enough, his competitors in my class were all ahead of me. Yeah. And they weren't necessarily better. But it's like, to me, I look at that and I'm like, that's unethical. Yeah. Like, why? If you're coaching people at a show, you can't be judging.
Right. That would be like Aries going up to the judge and be like, "Yo."
Exactly.
Like pointing out and be like, "Yo, you see the way his lats spread right now? You see his double bicep?"
That's exactly what was happening.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Okay.
And so you see shit like that. Mm-hmm. You can't really do anything about that in bodybuilding. You just have to kind of suck it up, deal with it, allow yourself to get screwed over, and then hope that over time, as you build more of a name for yourself, the political clout that you kind of build up can actually help you not get fucked over.
Right, because you've done so many that they're like, all right. But then again,
that's how it works.
That's wild though.
It's crazy. Because
then you have to do so many like diets, all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. Just for each show to just build clout until you eventually win. And I feel like that's not fair, to be honest.
It's definitely not. And like, the crazy thing is, when you get to the pros, it's less political. In the pros, they actually judge you a lot more fairly. But for you to even get there, you have to like get fucked over so many times in the amateur and basically like keep competing for the judges to be like, all right.
And there's also a difference between like getting fucked over and just taking an L, I think. Because you can take the L and be like, all right, I could bring a better package next time. But if you feel like you're bringing a good package every time, it almost demotivates you a bit to just keep going.
Yo, that's why so many people quit bodybuilding.
Yeah, because it's like, why am I continuing to bring the best package that I can just for me to be fucked over 2 or 3 times? At that point, I'd be like, fuck you.
Right. And then the prep is so hard on top of that. Like just to have to cut down to 3-4% body fat, get shredded, and then step on stage, and the judges are like, they don't even look at you. Yeah, you're like, why would I do this?
Right, and it's also a lot more pricier than powerlifting.
Yeah, it definitely is. I would say so, especially for like women. I haven't really compared like the numbers, but like,
how much did you pay for at least your last show?
My last show, it was $100 per class. Okay. I did juniors, open, novice.
That's $300.
So I paid $300.
Do you have to buy some sort of membership, like NPC
the annual NPC membership? I think it's like $135.
God damn.
Yeah. So all in all, like what, $435?
Yeah.
Ish. For powerlifting, I think my class was like $60 and the membership was $80 for the year. Yeah. I had to buy my singlet. It was GBT, so.
Oh, you know.
That was a little. I mean, it was crispy.
It was crispy.
It was crispy.
The fit was crispy.
Oh, the fit was crispy, and we'll definitely get to GBT later on. But yeah, I would say price wise, they're almost comparable. Yeah. But the hype is just different. Yeah,
because I feel like at least a few bodybuilding shows that I've gone, like for you, like there is cheering, but it's cheering for like that one person they're going to see. Right. Whereas in powerlifting, it's just everybody like you hype up a crowd, everybody's gonna hype you up.
That's a good point. Yeah, because like, at bodybuilding shows, if you don't know the person on stage, you're not cheering for them. Yeah. But like the only time everybody's going crazy at a bodybuilding show is really if like the top 2 competitors are like flexing really hard for the championship,
or even like bigger shows, like
or bigger shows. Yeah.
What's another one?
The Olympia. Yeah. Those are really the 2 real big ones. But in powerlifting, you see somebody about to go hit a PR, or you see they're going to go hit some crazy weight, or you see somebody who's small. You see, I saw at your meet at Mohegan, there was a girl who was like 125 pounds. Yeah. And she wants to squat 315. I stood up. I was like, oh shit. Yeah. Like, hold up. Yeah. And I was like, I was cheering. So you see that too. Like, people they don't need to know you. Right. But they're there to bring the hype. Right. And that's the thing that I do admire about powerlifting for sure. Yeah.
And that's sometimes because I've gone to meets where like the crowd is dead. But I feel like if you put on some sort of a performance, like there's certain powerlifters that will put on a performance, they'll like be a little bit more animated. Yeah. Russ, for example. Be a little bit more animated, get the crowd going. I feel like I had a thought in my mind. And I was gonna be like, bring up the question of like, can powerlifting be like a performance? Like, are you putting on like an act of some sort? But we can touch on that another time. Yeah. But yeah, in powerlifting, there's a more like, what's it called? That's the word I'm looking for. Supportive community.
Okay. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I think the overall powerlifting community and bodybuilding community, there's a lot of intersection, a lot of like overlap.
Right.
But the communities are just a little bit different in terms of like support. Powerlifting is just, it's hard to describe. You kind of have to go to a meet to experience it.
Right.
And I've never gone to a meet and not felt even more motivated. Like it just hasn't. Every meet I've gone to, I'm like, yo,
yeah,
that was crazy.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the perfect environment to actually put on good performances too, because you prep all that time. Like the adrenaline's gonna hit.
Right.
Like the hype itself is gonna hit, and that's just gonna help things significantly more.
Right.
Like I hit numbers that I wasn't even projected to hit, all off adrenaline, and it was just a different atmosphere. My first powerlifting meet versus bodybuilding, and yeah, it's just all around different.
Would you say you prefer one over the other, or is it kind of just like you prefer one for one aspect and one for the other aspect?
So yeah, exactly the last point you mentioned. Yeah, I like bodybuilding because of the creativity. Okay. So the subjectivity is a part of the reason why I like it. Because like everyone's physique is different. Right. You're like an artist, and you're crafting your physique to be exactly what you want it to be. Right. You're like a sculptor almost, and it's like your interpretation. So if you have a creative mindset, bodybuilding is an awesome outlet, especially if you like aesthetics too. Right. Because like getting shredded, getting lean, watching yourself cut down, being able to sculpt yourself into what you want to look like. Right. That's pretty dope to me. And then the posing routines, the posing is also very subjective. Like it's what you want it to be. You hit your poses in a way that works for you and looks good for you. And it's not going to look the same every competition. It's going to look different. You're going to fine tune it. Like that creative aspect, I think is really dope. But from a competitive aspect, I think powerlifting is better. Okay. I lean more towards powerlifting. It's more sustainable for me. Okay. As a competitive outlet. Because the numbers they're quantifiable. The rules are quantifiable. Like I have specific numbers I can target. The goals are tangible. I know that if I go and lift a certain amount of weight, I should place a certain way. Okay. Whereas in bodybuilding, I can make so many improvements and look so good and still be 4th place, 5th place, or not be reflective of the amount of work I put in. It's so subjective. Whereas in powerlifting, I can say, you know what, I want to go to nationals, or I want to qualify for nationals at my next meet. These are the numbers I need to hit to be able to get there. Right. So it gives me something tangible to work towards in the off season. That's just what makes it better for me competitively. Right. And also the weight. Right. Like for bodybuilding, I have to cut down to 165. Yo, that's not. Yeah, that's not healthy. That's just not working for me.
Yeah. Yeah, there comes a point where like it's just too much of a cut and you're like, fuck, like you feel drained. There's almost like, I don't want to say like a health risk, but in a sense, because you're getting so low body fat like so many times. Like me doing over 10 powerlifting meets isn't going to bring in the same health risk as like 10 bodybuilding shows.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. And that's another reason why I kind of I'm not really leaning more towards bodybuilding competitively, because also you have the anabolics aspect. Right. Like in powerlifting, you look at guys like Russ, Nabil, all these guys who are competing naturally, able to get to the pinnacle of the sport. And another thing is, drug-tested powerlifting is way more popular than like non-tested. Yeah. Because like, all right, you're juiced, you can lift mad weight, that's cool. But what makes like Russ so impressive is the fact that like he's natty. Right. And he's hitting PRs every fucking week, it seems. Yeah. That's like super dope. Whereas in bodybuilding, like you have to enhance yourself if you're really going to make it to the top. Right. And so not everybody wants to take that risk. Like for me, I don't know if I want to take that risk. Yeah. You don't see any sort of value in the long run. Nah. Like, not for me. And that's why I do respect a lot of bodybuilders, though, because you got to really love it to do it.
Right.
Because when you think about it, like, bodybuilding's not profitable.
Right.
Like, Mr. Olympia makes $400K. Just to put in perspective, a good NFL player makes that in a day.
Right.
Like one NFL Sunday. So, and they're spending 6 figures just to prep for Mr. Olympia. They got to pay their coaches. They got to pay everybody else. Yeah. They're not pocketing a lot. So they're not making a lot of money off the Mr. Olympia. They're making more money from endorsements and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But like, it's just not super profitable.
Right.
So for you to do it, you got to really, really love it.
And it's also not like a career for like the long haul.
It's not. You're going to retire at 40.
Yeah.
35, 40.
Yeah.
Which is in line with like other athletes, but the longer you do it, the more the health risk is going to be.
Right. Especially if you're on like steroids and...
If you're on for 20 years.
Yeah.
You're shortening your lifespan.
Yeah.
And I'm not at a point where like I'm ready and comfortable to take that risk.
Right.
You so for me, ever be? To be honest with you, no. Just because like if I can still be involved in the bodybuilding community and not be a bodybuilder. Okay. Maybe it's just not for me. Like
so, what do you mean be more involved? Like
I make documentaries on bodybuilders. Okay. And like people have been really fucking with it. That's value that I think I can provide to the community because like nobody else is doing it, but people like to watch it. Right. That's what's been helping my main show to grow. Mm-hmm. I can do that and invest my time in that and get the same sponsorships, similar endorsements, but also not have to step on stage and take those risks to compete.
Right.
And it's a tough inner battle because like I think I do have the genetics to make it far, but it's like if I don't have the desire, like why am I going to take the risk?
Right.
Like I don't know if you know Urs Kalzinski.
No.
But he's like my age, and he's a big up and coming bodybuilder.
Okay.
His first year, like where he really popped off, he went to the Olympia, placed 5th, and he was like one of the smaller guys on stage in terms of muscle. Right. Where I met him, and like his calves, I saw his calves, and I was like, oh nah.
Man said, yo.
I was like,
what are those?
It made me have to reconsider whether or not I really wanted to like compete in bodybuilding long term. I'm like, this guy's my age. If I really want to make it to the top of bodybuilding, he's already 5 years ahead of me, muscle maturity wise or muscle mass wise.
Right.
Like, do I really want to have to jump in this race where I'm already behind to try to catch up to him?
Right.
I was like, I don't know if health wise, I want to do that. I haven't even reached like my physical, natural potential for me to even jump into that. So I don't know. Maybe I'll change my mind in 5 years. Like I think I'll do another show just to really get shredded again. Mm-hmm. But like the cut to 182 is like a way better cut for me.
Right. It's almost was like 20 pounds more.
182 versus 165.
Yeah.
It's just different. And like I went into my first powerlifting meet with the same mentality of like, all right, let's see how this goes. This could be a one-time thing where I'm like, okay, I don't want to do this again. Or I can compete in powerlifting long term. And it's like, all right, I want to improve my last numbers.
Right. So it's almost that competitive drive.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to find the outlet somewhere else.
But we did want to talk about kind of the differences between like prepping for bodybuilding and then powerlifting, like mentality wise.
Okay.
So how has prep been for you since you've been powerlifting, and how has that evolved over time?
So I think in the earlier shows, like I guess the first few shows, there wasn't really much pressure in terms of making weight because I was under my weight class. I think this is before the new rule change, but the cutoff was 145. I was always like smaller framed. This is still when I had like trouble with like eating. Like I was scared to like eat more because when I used to be a fat kid, I would be right around like 130, 140. But obviously I was, fatter kid. So I think that was tough for me to like actually like, I need to eat for me to be able to push more weight. So I think for the first few shows, there wasn't that much pressure. But I did see that I was getting stagnant because I wasn't getting bigger. Okay. And that was primarily my fault because I wasn't following the meal plan. Because like I said, back then I wasn't taking it that serious. To me, it was just like, it was a fun activity. That changed over time. But I guess the difference between back then and now, back then, there was no pressure. It was just fun. Like, we're just like, all right, like, make weight, just work out, hit some PRs, and then go on stage. Versus now, I think I take it more serious in terms of, like, as the shows get closer, definitely clean up the eating. Could it be a lot cleaner? Yes. I felt that to myself because I do like eating, like, food a lot. And obviously, if somebody asks me out to eat, I'm going to be like, all right, like, yeah.
Right.
Like, I don't desire, like, abs, like having abs or having, like, a crazy physique. That might change, to be honest, because I haven't.
Really?
Yeah, I think that might change. Just because lately I've been seeing, like, the up-and-coming powerlifters now, at least on the younger crowd, like, early 20s, and they're, like, shredded. I'm like, damn, like... back then, like, when I started, there wasn't that many, like, shredded powerlifters. Like, there were a couple, but, like, nothing, like, crazy where it was, like... like, they weren't that shredded. It was very, like, soft, like, eat whatever kind of thing. But I think now with obviously like social media, like it becoming more popular, obviously people want to look the part more.
Right.
So I think that's starting to change in my mind a little bit. Like I always had a problem with like body dysmorphia, which is why like I think I spend a lot of money on clothes and looking fresh because I'm like, I can't really help my body like to the full extent now, but I can like help the appearance. And I think that's also been helping with prep too, is like, I guess the oversized shirt trend that we have now. Like the oversized size shirts hide a lot. Like they had a lot of imperfections, like the muffin tops and like added body fat. I think that's helped me kind of fill out the weight class I'm in now. And now next Saturday I'm doing meet on the higher weight class. I'm not filling out the higher weight class, but I feel more comfortable going up in that weight class because I've been like having a better relationship with food. Definitely at some point I do want to clean it up. I do want to take the diet more serious because I feel like because you take the diet a little bit more serious like when it comes to competing in general, whether that's powerlifting or bodybuilding, and you notice a significant difference when you're eating cleaner and lifting and staying hydrated. Because even you said the other day, like, yo, I haven't hydrated. Like,
yeah, I've been feeling it.
Yeah, like you feel it. I think I'm getting to that point where I'm like, okay, like I'm still making progress, but I'm not reaching that full potential. And I think that's definitely something, like one of the goals I want to have like after this year is like really focus on the off season, really focus on like bettering the diet and kind of not saying no to like going out to eat and enjoying food, but like have a more cleaner diet 90% of the time. Yeah. Whereas now it's kind of like, yeah, it's clean, but it's clean like 60-70% of the time, where it could be at like 90-100% of the time. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think 90-95 is a really good balance for powerlifting. Yeah. Because in bodybuilding, you don't get that. You don't get like, that's true. You got to be 100%. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why it was so hard for me, because I like to eat. I've been able to figure out on my fitness journey, like the balance that I like is I like to eat clean like Monday through Saturday and be able to have a cheat meal like Sunday. Right. Or have a cheat meal like once a week. I can't do that when I'm prepping for bodybuilding. But in powerlifting, I'm not going to lie, I was able to get away with it. Yeah. Every Sunday, like I'd have a cheat meal. Yeah. Or I'd have like one cheat on a Friday night. Right. And I still made weight in powerlifting. I was still able to get that leeway. Right. So that works for me. Like I don't need to eat like shit every day. Right. But to be able to enjoy myself like once a week and still be able to be on track of my competitive goal, that's another thing I really like about powerlifting. Right. Like, that works for me. That's sustainable for me long term. Yeah. Like I could see myself doing it 45, 50, even 60 just for fun. Right. Whereas in like bodybuilding, it's just not sustainable for me. So like more power to the people who can do it. But like back to your point about a lot of competitors nowadays looking good. Yeah. I think a big part of that is because a lot of people are transitioning from bodybuilding to powerlifting. A lot more people are doing it. Yeah. A lot of people are doing both too, or trying to do both. Right. So I actually last week I talked to 2 teenagers at General, and they were like, "Yo," because I was benching with Aries, and they were like, "Yo, do you compete in powerlifting? Like, what's that like? Whatever." Okay. And I was like, "Yeah, it's cool." And they were like, "Oh, I want to do a bodybuilding show." And I was like, "Okay." And like, I want to do powerlifting too. And there was like 3 of them, and they all wanted to do bodybuilding and powerlifting, and they were asking me questions about like what's better, this and that, like similar to the conversation we're having now.
Right.
And I told them, you know what? Try both. Like try both and see what you like. So like nowadays, this newer generation of people, like within fitness, they're doing both.
Yeah.
They're doing bodybuilding and powerlifting. Look at Swole Ricketts.
Yeah.
I don't know if you follow him. He did he did a bodybuilding show. He did great. This is a guy who was like an influencer for a couple of years, and now he's actually jumping into bodybuilding. So it's almost like becoming trendy almost.
Yeah.
Trendy to like compete, because you see a lot of influencers who are jumping into shows now, and they're actually like really jumping into the space, whereas before they didn't want to do shows, but it's almost like trendier to want to compete, and it's influencing a lot of younger kids to want to jump in and actually compete. Most of them aren't going to do it long term, because you and I both know like competing's not easy. Even if it's powerlifting too, it's not easy. Like it's going to take a lot out of you.
Yeah.
You got to really want to do it. You got to really follow through. But like I talk to these kids and they're like, yeah, I want to do bodybuilding and powerlifting.
Yeah.
So we're seeing that.
I think the younger like crowd can get away with that. I think it gets harder once you get into your like mid to late 20s, when you have to actually, you know, balance life and gym. It's not always just gym. Like obviously they can do it when they're in college and stuff, because it's just school, gym, and some have work. But I think as you get older, and I think as I'm getting older, preps have become more tougher, because now I have to balance a full-time job, have to balance, you know, sleeping enough, have to balance then working out and training. And I think back to the point of like the difference between prep back then and prep now. Prep now is so much harder.
Prep now is harder?
Prep now is so much harder. Just because back then, when I was doing the early shows, we would work at the gym. Majority of the time we were sitting. Majority of the time we weren't doing any physical activity. Versus now, when I transitioned into this new job, I was just doing hosting, which majority of the time I was just standing in one spot. You're still standing though. So I could still get away with prepping then, because I didn't have that much of a physical toll on my body. But then in the last year, since I started doing security, like walking around constantly for like 8, 10, 12 hours a day, I've noticed that it's become harder for me to like
recover. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like I've noticed like on my days off, I'll sleep longer, I'll sleep in. And I try to prioritize sleeping early when I do work, because I'm like, I know the importance of sleep now when it comes to recovery. But having this job and prepping has definitely put things into perspective of like, okay, I do need an off season.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely been harder. Like I'm getting more aches and pains. I'm getting injured more, not like big injuries, but I'm feeling injuries more often. Like even today when we were setting up, I told you like I pulled something in my back. Like
yeah.
I was feeling that all weekend at work. Like I felt like some sort of like pressure in my back, but I was just like ignoring it. And I feel like it's like a mixture of like work and training that's kind of just bringing out more aches and pains. Obviously the age too. I'm still young, so I'm not saying like I'm getting old as fuck, but like, you know what I mean? As you get older, your body works different. So I think now for sure it's getting a lot tougher to prep. So I think after this year, it's going to be definitely like, okay, we need to pick and choose what shows we're doing. But also for me, I don't want to do local shows either. I think for me, if I'm going to prep for something, it has to be something that has like I say, there's a lot more eyes on that competition. There's a lot more.
You're at that level now.
Yeah. There's a lot more of at stake. Like when I showed you last week, when I texted you and Abraham about this meet in Chicago that's giving away championship belts for the winners. Yeah. It's like, that's the shit I want to do. Yeah. Like, that's the shit I want to compete for. Like, I don't want to compete at a meet and then they're not giving away any medals. Right. Not saying like medals Philly are important, but like, you do want to show off, like, yo, this is what I won.
You put the work in.
Yeah. Which is why I think with these last, I don't want to count next week's meet, but with the 2 meets in November, they're big meets. Like, Russ is putting on one of the biggest meets ever.
Crazy.
Like the GBT team is like hyping this up. It's at a fucking football stadium. Yeah. Like, that's wild to think about. Like, this man booked out a football stadium for a powerlifting meet.
And it's a powerlifting meet. I don't think there's ever been like a venue that big for a powerlifting meet.
So to me, that's something that I want to be a part of, regardless of whether I win or not. And I do want to have a conversation about the mentality of winning and losing in powerlifting after this. But like, that's something I want to be a part of, whether I win or lose. It's like, that's a big deal. Like, you could say, oh, I did a powerlifting meet at NRG Stadium. Like, that's wild. Like, when I tell people at work, they're like, oh, damn, like, that's NRG Stadium?
Yeah.
And it's wild.
Those are memories you're always going to have, too.
Yeah.
Like, when you look back on
there's going to be a lot of eyes there, too.
Yeah, true.
A lot of potential networking. Like,
that's true.
There's going to be a lot of big names there.
And that's huge.
Yeah. And then after that, was it 5 days later, Worlds?
Yeah. You're wild for that. You're wild for that.
When I told Cody, when I seen that email, that was like, oh, like, you qualified for Worlds, like, if you want to sign up, like, here's
because you had signed up for Corrupted already before Worlds, right?
Yeah. And Corrupted signed, like, sold out within, like, the hour. I think it was, like, 30 minutes that meet was sold out. And that just brings, like, the eyes of, like, oh, shit, like, it's selling out quick.
Yeah.
This must be big. So I wanted to do that. That was initially going to be my last meet of the year. And I got that email, and I immediately thought, can I do both? That was my first thought. I was like, can I do both? And in my mind, I was convincing myself, yes, I will do both. Regardless of how, like, I don't say how shitty the performance is going to be, one versus the other, because you know how much of a toll powerlifting meets take. You need, like, a week off sometimes. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do both. Because regardless, I'm like, it's experience, it's big stages. And I think it's good for, like, confidence. It's good to get eyes on you. It's good to network with people. And I think that's what people need to realize when they do meets, is, like, not to be afraid of losing, or not to be just focused on winning. You got to be focused on, like, meeting other people in the community, building relationships. Like, I've talked to a few people that are like, oh, I don't want to go to this meet because I don't want to lose. Like, I want to be ready. And it's like, you'll never be ready. You'll never know who you're going to compete with that day. Like, to me, it's like, you just got to prep for yourself.
Yeah.
You see what's around, you'll know what the competition is like, and you'll know what you have to do to be better.
Right.
I think that's what my main focus is going into, like, these meets, is just, like, it's no pressure. Like, there is pressure, but it's, like, no pressure, because it's like you're going for something much bigger than winning and losing.
Right.
You're going to, like, you know, build yourself. It's almost like leveling up your character.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
And we can transition that into the different mentality between winning and losing. You want to talk about that? What is that for you? So
to me, I don't go into powerlifting meets like I want to win. Like, obviously winning is nice, but I don't think I've been to a meet where I'm just like, I want to win. Like, I want to win. Like, that's my main focus. Because I feel like if you go in with that mentality and you bomb out, or you, like, lose, or you come in, like, last place, I just think it does something to your confidence where you just don't really enjoy the moment of, like, you could hit, like, all PRs and still lose. I think, to me, the winning aspect of powerlifting meets is just being better than your last performance, or doing better than your last performance. Or if you're a first timer, you put yourself out there.
Right.
And I think that's, like I said, that's a mentality more people should have, is just, like, just go, because you're doing something outside your comfort zone.
Right.
Don't put so much pressure on, like, winning and losing. Like, yeah, like, everybody wants to win. When you win, it feels good. But I think you have to look at winning from, like, the aspect of, like, yes, I did this prep. That's a win. Yes, I did better numbers than I did in the gym, or better numbers in my last meet. I met new people. Most people are, like, antisocial, have social anxiety, but then they meet people in similar, like similar also, like, social anxiety at these meets. Or they just make new friends. Like, I feel like that's winning. That, to me, is winning.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to come in first place at, like, Worlds or, like, all these other places. I would like to. That's obviously, like, but that's, like, the cherry on top for me.
Right. I feel like that's the best mindset to go into any competition.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what the competition is going to look like.
No.
You have no idea. You have no clue who's going to sign up a couple of days before deadlines. And now here comes somebody who maybe has more experience than you, is just overall stronger than you.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do now that you like squats come in and they open with what you were gonna PR at?
Yeah.
Now you're mind fucked,
Yeah.
and that could completely affect the rest of your meet.
Yeah.
So to go into it thinking, all right, the goal should be, let me do better than I did last time. That's all you can control. And if that warrants a first place finish, then boom.
Yeah.
Awesome. If not, you still did better than last time. You still hit a higher total.
And I still think people should have like the desire to win. I think that also brings, like, as you do more competitions, obviously your desire to win more becomes more apparent. But I think you should never lose focus on the fact that, you know, you're still winning by doing it. You're still putting your body through a tough prep.
Right.
You're still cutting. Some people have to cut. Some people have to water cut. Abraham, his
Man was
intense
drinking 3 gallons of water a day for 3 days straight.
in New Orleans.
Yeah, for New Orleans.
While we were all fucking just acting a fool. Like even me, like even I took a shot the day before the comp.
Nationals?
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah, you were sauced.
Oh. Where? Oh, you took a shot. I didn't know. I think I was there.
No, you were there. I don't think you remember.
No, I do.
Okay.
We were at that was the first bar we went to when we got to the new Airbnb, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally missed my mind that like you were competing the next day.
Yeah.
It just slipped my mind. But you had talked earlier about like body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
And how you've dealt with that. Is that what led you into starting to work out? Is that what like kind of sparked your fitness journey?
Kind of, sort of. Like I said, I used to be the fat kid, like in high school, and I had this desire to like work out. And like one of my buddies at the time, he had just gone through this like crazy weight loss from playing volleyball. He started playing sports. I noticed that change in his confidence from like when he was fatter versus when he got skinny. And same with like another buddy too. He was going through this crazy weight loss and they were getting confident. I'm like, I want to do that too. So I was like, I'm gonna join volleyball.
Okay. Oh shit! You were playing volleyball?
No, I didn't make the team.
Oh shit! Okay,
bro. When I tell you I was heartbroken that day.
When you didn't make the team?
When I didn't make the team, like all my boys made the team, blah blah. And I was playing volleyball with them, like throughout the school year, like trying to like get some like basics down. Because I think I always had that like desire to like do a sport or like compete in something. I think that was going to be my segue.
Yeah.
But then when I didn't get in, they're like, oh, like, we're not looking for seniors. Because I was a senior at the time. Like, we're not looking for seniors.
Damn.
Bro, I was so hurt.
Damn.
I was so hurt. I jokingly say to Jerry, because Jerry still talks to the coach, I think, like the volleyball coach. I'm like, yo, fuck that guy. Like, I'm always so petty. But no, like, I think that opened up a door for me to, like, do like at-home workouts. Can't shut off again.
Yeah, you can keep going.
I started just doing at-home workouts. I did Insanity. It's just like a cardio-based, like high-intensity workout. I did that for a couple months, and that's when I started losing weight. And I think that's what started the body dysmorphia too. Was because I had a goal. I was like, oh, I want to lose 15 pounds. Once I lost those 15 pounds, I looked good, but when I saw myself, I was like, I could look better. And I associated that with cut more. And it got to a point where I became anorexic. And I was way too low. I was like low 100s.
Damn.
I was like 108 at my lowest. I looked fucking skinny. It was bad.
But you didn't look good.
No,
like, you didn't look like you wanted to look.
No. And I think I settled for that for a while, at least my first year of college. And then Jerry was like, oh, Jerry.
Yeah, I know.
That boy Jerry.
Big Jerry.
Big Jerry. We got to get him on the podcast.
Shout out Big Jerry.
He had mentioned going to Max. This is when Max Providence was still a thing.
Okay.
He had mentioned going to the gym. And I was looking for like a new like outlet to like work out. Like I found at-home workouts boring at that point, and I was like, I need something else. I need that next challenge. I think going to the gym was like that thing that I needed, and I didn't think I was gonna fall in love with it as much as I did at first. Like we would just do the typical bro splits, like chest, shoulders, legs, back. Like we didn't really do much in terms of like compound movements. It was kind of just like, let's get that pump. And then I realized that it was something I wanted to keep doing when he became busy with his schedule. And then I'm like, fuck, well, I don't have my training partner.
Right.
And I think that's what separated me from like it being like just like a hobby to like it being like a lifestyle. Like I wanted to keep going. Like I kept, like I still have pictures. Like I take pictures. I've been taking pictures since the beginning of my fitness journey.
Yeah, which is huge.
Yeah. Like people think I just take selfies now, like whenever I'm like at the gym, but I've been doing that for years now.
Right.
It's not something new. But yeah, I just fell in love with like working out. I always felt like I didn't look good enough, but I did see like the progress. Like obviously I would pose, I would like flex a bit. And that definitely helped with my confidence too. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, I do have, I think everybody suffers from body dysmorphia.
Oh, 100%.
But I think the more I worked out, the more it helped with that and the more confidence it brought in terms of like everyday aspect, in terms of like jobs, talking to people, like going on dates and things like that. Mm-hmm. And it definitely helped out mentally too. Like just like, I felt like it gave me a reason to wake up in the morning. Mm. Like even if like I hated school or like I didn't really enjoy school like that, I'll have an outlet to work out. And I still like thank like the fact that I was able to be introduced into this space, because I don't think I'd be here if it wasn't for working out. Yeah, I think that helped a lot, like mentally.
Right. So it kind of like saved you in a sense.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. 100%. Yeah. And it's obviously always a learning curve. Like it's something you have to have patience with, especially once it becomes a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. You're not going to see results all the time. You're not going to see results overnight. I think it's one of the few things where you constantly put an effort in and that effort is rewarded.
Right. But it takes time too.
You have to have that patience and
100%.
Like that work ethic to like, I'm not going to see results now, but I'm going to see results 3, 6, a year, 2 years from now.
My thing is you got to go into it knowing that it's going to take a long time.
Yeah. Like when I started at Max, I saw one of the trainers there. I can't remember his name to save the life of me, but okay. He was some cookie cutter trainer. Mm-hmm. He was like, yeah, we can put on 20 pounds of muscle in 3 months. This is before I knew
3
anything.
months, yeah.
But I'm already picturing in my head, damn, quick transformation, just like when I did cardio and like I lost a ton of weight. Mm-hmm. And then I quickly learned it's like, that's not how that works.
It's not like that.
No. Man said 20 pounds of muscle.
20 pounds of solid muscle. I mean,
do you remember those diagrams at Max where you could just like plug in things and then they would like show like the figure just like...
Yeah.
So yeah, he showed me that and it showed my figure like fucking diesel as fuck. I'm like,
shit, 3 months.
Like, all right, shit, 3 months, that's it?
3 months,
I was like, I've done that before.
Yeah.
Then month 3 came, I'm like, oh fuck. Like,
oh shit. So, but one thing I didn't want to talk about is, I forgot who told me this. I think it was, what's his name? Oscar? Not Oscar. He goes to General. But he was saying how like Mexicans from Puebla are mad strong. Is that a thing? Is that true?
Honestly, I think he was just saying that because of me.
Okay.
I don't think he's from... Oh, he's Carlos.
Mexican?
It's Carlos.
Carlos, yeah.
Carlos.
He's Mexican.
He's Mexican, but I'm not sure if he's from Puebla.
Okay. Is Puebla a village?
Puebla's like a small village. It's like very west.
Okay.
Wait, no. South. Sorry. South of Mexico. It's like closer to Guatemala. Mm-hmm. It's a very tiny village. I've never been. That's where my mom is from. Mm-hmm. But it's just a tiny village. I just think the Mexican spirit itself is very strong. Like you see that in like different sports. You see that in boxing and UFC. Like they have like that warrior spirit. Oh, yeah. And I think whatever like avenue we decide to like dive into, like we work hard. Like we have that like willpower to just like keep going.
Yeah.
Like we just work. And I think maybe not so much like Puebla has the strongest Mexicans. I just think the Mexicans in general. Yeah. Like even with work, you see a lot of like these videos of like construction workers.
Oh yeah.
Like
100%.
They work hard.
No, they do. No question about it.
Yeah. Like you can't sit here and say that you know a Mexican that doesn't work hard.
Yeah.
Like even Delmy. Like even Delmy.
Yeah. Yo, Delmy's been working
Tell me's been working
for years. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's not necessarily. I don't want to say she is Mexican.
She's got some El Salvadorian there.
Yeah, she's not fully Mexican, but she has that like desire to like I'm gonna work hard. I'm gonna work hard. I'm gonna work hard.
Yeah.
She took that dive, moved out of home, kept the wrestling going, started her own brand.
Yeah.
But that just shows more of like examples of like, yo, Mexicans do work hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to ask that because I was like, oh, is that a thing?
No, like I said, I just think he just said that because of me, because he knows. I think that's where I'm from.
Yeah.
But I think in general, like the culture is just very like strong.
Yeah. That's dope.
Yeah. Like even my brother, like you see what he does too. Like
yeah,
he boxes.
He works hard.
He works hard. You saw where he's living. Mm-hmm. Like we work hard. Yeah. Like no matter what we do, we'll work hard. I don't think we won't make any excuses to like not like to be lazy or like it's just not in our blood, to be honest.
That's dope.
Yeah.
But you got this this gauntlet.
Oh my god, yeah.
This damn Iron Man gauntlet coming up. Let's talk a little bit about that. So you got Corrupted, and then what? 3-4 days later, Worlds. Is it 3 days later?
I think it's 5 days later.
5 days later, you got Worlds. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that? Like, what's the mentality going into not just one of the biggest powerlifting meets? Like, is it a USPA meet? USAPL?
For Corrupted?
Yeah.
Corrupted is USAPL.
USAPL. So that's probably going to be the biggest meet this year.
Yeah.
Like no other meet's going to be at a football stadium. And it's going to be in Houston.
Yeah.
So there are going to be people all around the world, I think, going to this meet.
Yeah.
Sold out in an hour, which is wild. And then you got Worlds, IPF Worlds, like the biggest.
Or IPL.
IPL Worlds.
Because IPF, it's a lot tougher to get in.
They did like a... What's the difference between IPL and IPF?
I think... I'm probably not going to know specifically what the difference is, but the IPF is more known worldwide. Mm-hmm. Like, so is the IPL. Mm-hmm. But in terms of, like, qualifying for the IPL, it's not as extraneous and it's more attainable than the IPF.
How so?
So in terms of, like we were talking about earlier, attainable numbers. Mm-hmm. Like, the attainable numbers to qualify for Worlds is... significantly less than the IPF.
Gotcha.
Doesn't make it any less prestigious, to be honest. Like it's still a world competition. You're still competing with people that also qualified for Worlds too.
Right.
But in terms of like the difference, the IPF is more popular. It's more known. It's more prestigious compared to the IPL.
Okay.
I honestly, to be honest, I haven't even heard of the IPL up until this year.
Yeah. And it's gonna be in Eugene. Mm-hmm. So what's the game plan? Like, what's the plan from Corrupted to Worlds? How are you gonna prep? How are you gonna get ready? What are you gonna do for recovery?
Me and Aries are gonna use this meet coming up next week to kind of like test the body a bit post meet.
Okay.
Like we'll go in. It won't be like a super extraneous meet, but it'll be enough to get the state records for that class, but also see how my body reacts that week of training. Okay. And then from there, I believe we can use that into Corrupted and into Worlds.
Gotcha.
Obviously, I do want to show out for Corrupted. I think out of the two meets, I would show out for Corrupted over Worlds. Because the Worlds in Eugene, Oregon is untested. So okay, a little bit less pressure. Yeah. You're going up against people that are enhanced gear and stuff and enhanced. Yeah. Whereas at Corrupted, it's drug tested. So we're going to see a lot of big hitters. I think that's where I would want to focus all my...
Corrupted is about to be scary.
I saw a few people in my weight class already. There's this one kid, I can't remember his name, but he's deadlifting like 600. Ooh. And he looks built, which is why I'm like, I think it's changing my mentality. It's like, maybe I should focus more on building muscle and like really focus on an off season, and that way I can be on that level too. Right. Like yes, I am I am on a like higher level now competing, but I think now I'm starting to notice like I want to take it more serious. Right. But the game plan is definitely going to be do Corrupted, rest, recover, fly out. Well, rest. So the competition is Saturday. Do the meet, rest and recover Sunday. Fly out, fly out to Oregon on Monday. And then my weight class doesn't compete until I think Thursday.
Okay.
So I'll have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Well, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to recover from corrupted. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I'll work on definitely hydrating, definitely eating properly. Hopefully finding like a sauna or like some sort of like massage thing. I don't know. I don't think I've talked to Aries that much about a game plan. But then I probably should now just because that's coming up soon.
Yeah, it's coming up.
But game plan physically, I can't really say what's going to happen because that's tough. Like thinking about it now, it's tough going from 2 big meets back to back like that, not even a week apart. But the fact that like I brought it up to Aries when I got the email about Worlds, and I'm like, I didn't even have to say it.
Yeah,
he was kind of like, we're doing both kind of thing, like, or like he knows that I want to do both. He just said, fuck it, we're gonna do it. So I trust that whatever he has planned, whatever he has cooking up in his mind, will be enough for me to be able to do somewhat of a performance for both.
Right. So post Worlds, now you've competed at a world meet. Now you're on a different level. Now you've like been with the best in the world. What's the plan going to be after that?
So I definitely want to not take a break from powerlifting, but definitely take an off season for sure.
Okay.
I do want to take a break in terms of like, I do want to not only like level up, like I do want to continue leveling up in powerlifting and doing bigger and better meets. But I also feel like I'm putting too much focus on that when I'm not there in life yet. Like I want to be in a more established job. I want to be in a more established like living situation. Like I don't want to keep constantly like saving up and spending money and traveling. Like yes, I do want to do that, but I don't want to be hurting after and be like, damn, like all my funds or whatever.
Right.
Like I don't want to be hurting. I think I want to definitely get another job, a more stable job after Worlds. Maybe something career, like in my career that I went to school for. And then once I get a job there, however long that takes, kind of start reintroducing like the idea of another meet, whenever that timeline is. Honestly, there is a meet coming up that we talked about before, because I want to do an international meet too. Yeah. At some point. Like,
that'd be dope.
That would be the goal, is to do an international meet. And there's this gym in Texas that wants to host one in El Salvador. And I think that would be dope.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Because it blends like the love for travel with the powerlifting meet.
Yeah.
And it's like, what better way to do that than going international to go to like South America?
And that's been such a good reason to travel too.
Yeah.
Like, sure, we've been like traveling around to go to these meets and you're prepping for a competition, but you also get to see these new places, see these new gyms, like experience a little different culture. And it's a good reason to like move around. Like Virginia, I love Virginia.
Right.
It was awesome. I love being down there.
Oh, I saw they definitely ran the meet pretty good.
That was like the best meet that I had been at.
Yeah.
Competitor, like it was my first meet competing, but even as a spectator, that was so dope the way they ran it.
Yeah.
It was clean, it was organized, but the owner of that gym is like he has multiple records in Virginia. He's won like Virginia States in his weight class. So he's a like bona fide powerlifter.
Right.
So the fact that the gym was like organized the way it was, the meet was ran the way it was, and the meet organizers too were also really good at what they did. Right. So it was just a perfect combination.
I think more meet directors need to strive to do that. I think there's definitely a lot, especially one I did in Connecticut. I wanted to name names, obviously, because I don't want to bash on anybody.
Did I go to that one?
You didn't. This was during COVID.
Okay.
It was just a rinky-dink gym. Like we weighed in like the storage like unit in the back of the gym. Like we were all just storage. Like stripping down in like this dark ass room with a bunch of boxes, and it's like that's not somewhere you want to like compete. That's not like oh shit, like I prepped all these months, I'm waiting in the fucking storage closet
next to the boiler room.
Yeah. It's just I think a lot more meet directors need to strive especially now with all these big meets coming up, especially with Russ setting the example of like, this is what it could be. And a couple of other places are doing that too that I followed. But Russ specifically, just because a lot more people know Russ. I think people need to take it more serious in that aspect of like, listen, it's not just a meet. It could be something more. It could bring more eyes. It could bring more status. It could build your brand wherever the meet directors are.
Right.
Whether that's Cali, Texas, Chicago, Virginia.
Especially with the new influx of like newer generation of powerlifters kind of really coming in to like expand.
Right.
The better the meets, the more you're going to get people that want to go.
And the nicer the location, the nicer the setup. Like
that Virginia meet, I would compete there again. If they did another meet, I would 100% go back down there because it was dope. And like Nabil did a meet there too.
Yeah.
They're like becoming known as like a place where competitors want to go and compete at.
Yeah.
So just having a nice gym, attention to detail to making sure a meet is ran smoothly, that can become like not just a moneymaker for the gym, but like another reason why people are going to go and travel.
There's this one gym, I can't remember the name, but it's in South Carolina. There's a lot of big names that did that meet in South Carolina. It's because of the way they set up the meet. It was like they split it up into two categories. It was like a primetime meet and like just the regular meet. And the primetime meet, the way they set it up, the way the stage was set up, the venue, the production and as a whole, brought those big level lifters to like, I want to go to that. I want to compete there. It's like South Carolina. Not saying nothing's wrong with South Carolina, but it's not my first place to be like, that's what I want to do meet.
Would you want to host a meet someday? Would you want to host a meet if you had like a gym?
I would do it, but I would definitely not do it at like a rinky-dink gym.
Yeah,
like the guy from that owns Coliseum, like he's setting up a meet at the end of this year.
That's gonna be a dope meet probably.
But you see his like setup. His gym is like dope. It's like
clean.
It's clean. It's dope.
The aesthetic is nice.
He puts attention to detail, and he's like setting up all these things. He's like bringing people in. He's bringing in like high level
big name guys.
To like bring notoriety to that gym. And I think that's something a lot more people should do. Is just like, we got to bring more eyes, like the attention to detail. He started day one already merch.
Oh, the merch is crispy.
Merch was already there.
Yeah,
enough equipment. It wasn't open too early. It was open at a perfect time.
And he's been adding more stuff too.
He raised the prices
stuff around.
Of memberships because
that hurt, man.
I know. We should have just been grandfathered in.
Man, that hurt. It was $50 a month when we started. I was like, all right, next week I'll get a membership. Next week came, it was $70 a month. I was like,
I wish we would have known, because I would have ate the $50 a month.
Oh yeah, I would have definitely ate the 50. Like for that quality, to go there once a week, 50 a month, I think is a solid deal. Especially when other gyms of that caliber are charging you 70, 80. But
I don't want to name that gym, but
we don't have to. But
like. It's worth. I would pay 70. Like if I lived closer, I would pay 70 there.
Yeah.
To me, the equipment there is worth it. It's just, like I said, you could see the love he has for that gym.
But to the average lifter, like to pay $70 a month to go to a gym is crazy.
Yeah.
When you started training, did you ever think you'd ever spend that kind of bread just to go to a gym?
No, I was like $10 a month. I was like,
Planet Fitness,
wherever. Max Fitness,
Max Fitness. But then you start training, you get to a different level.
Yeah,
like every few or so years to the point where now you're competing. It's worth it now. Like I remember when I would have never bought knee sleeves or a belt. I didn't care enough at that point, and I got to a point where I needed to buy those things, and the investment was like no brainer.
Yeah, because you see the progress, you see. It helps.
Yeah.
The equipment helps.
Yeah. So let's now pivot the conversation a little bit.
Okay.
Into
how long was that part?
That last segment?
Well, that whole segment revolving around the gym.
I want to say like an hour at least.
We might have to split that, and then this will be like part 2.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'll let you decide that depending on how.
Yeah. We can twist it up however, but just to kind of pivot away from like the gym.
Oh God.
Tell me a little bit about, because you had you did a poll on your Instagram.
Yeah.
For people, let's dive into a little bit about what people wanted to talk about. Wanted to hear you talk about.
Yeah.
I saw these females as one of them. You are definitely, I would say, an expert on these females.
I wouldn't say expert. Go on.
You're a seasoned veteran
Okay.
in these females. I would say, my personal opinion.
Okay.
But talk to me a little bit about, I guess, kind of the modern dating scene today, and how have you been navigating that? Because it's definitely like a sewer.
Oh, fucking!
It's like a sea of just
sewer rats.
Just a sea of diarrhea.
No.
And you just gotta try to navigate it.
Oh fuck! So, I'll be honest. Dating scene now sucks.
Damn.
The dating scene now is awful. Nobody wants to commit. Everybody's playing games. Everybody got like the roster, right? Mm-hmm. I think the way I've navigated it is I just don't take dating serious because it's not being taken serious in our society as a whole. Mm-hmm. So to me, obviously, the way most people meet up is dating apps, whether that's Tinder, Hinge, Bumble. So I've been
hate them all, but we'll get into that.
You say you hate what?
I hate them all.
Oh yeah, it's awful. It's awful. But yeah, I've been on them on and off for like a couple of years. So I've kind of like, I was talking to a friend earlier about this, but I've kind of like gave some pointers on dating. And to me, I just think you just can't take dating serious. I just think you just kind of have to just put yourself out there, and just don't have any expectations. I think just set your expectations as, especially when you meet somebody new, just like, okay, we're gonna go on this one date, whether we vibe, whether we don't vibe. Like, at least that's how I tackle it. Is like, I'll go on this one date, I'll see it as a one-off date, whether we vibe, don't vibe. You can kind of tell, especially from body language, from the conversation, where you go, how long the date lasts. And I usually use that, and I'll be like, oh, like, we vibed, we don't vibe, whatever. But in terms of dating apps in general, I just think there's like a statistic somewhere where it was like there's more men on dating apps than women. I think it's like a 75-25.
It's absurd.
It's absurd.
Yeah.
So in order for you to get like a woman's attention on dating apps, it's a lot harder now. Especially because most women on dating apps are very shallow. Like, if you go through like the first 10 like bios, it's always like
6 feet and over.
Like very like cookie cutter, like guys, like no seasoning, just your basic typical guy. 6 foot, you have a boat, rich, nice car. And if you don't have that, and if you don't show that off on your dating app, you get virtually no dates. I think what's worked for me on dating apps, like especially when I like take it serious and I actually want to go on a date with somebody, is like I set up my profile as like, okay, I'll put in a couple of nice pictures, especially because like I do tend to like take nice pictures, put effort into my pictures. Like I put a few of those. I'll put some funny prompts, and I'll put like me having fun, like out. So like right now, for example, I don't have Bumble. Fuck Bumble.
Damn. Fuck Bumble. We'll get into that.
But for my Tinder and Hinge, I have a couple of nice pictures, like the ones we've done photo shoots. And then on the last slide, I have like me doing karaoke. And I think that one tends to get me a few dates and a few more matches because they see, oh, he's fun. He's willing to put himself out there and doing karaoke. It's not something that's like sexy or whatever. Unless you have like a nice voice, unless you're like a fucking singer. But like for the majority of us, we don't have nice voices when we do karaoke. But it tends to get the attention of women. They laugh or whatever. I think I've gotten more dates from that slide than anything else. I think it's just showing yourself off, having fun has more success. But yeah, even then, I wouldn't call myself an expert because I don't get many matches anyway. And the ones I do and the ones I like text or like message, very shallow conversations.
Yeah. But you know what though? That's not a reflection of you.
No.
It's just dating. Or not even dating. Online dating. because you can't really establish chemistry based on somebody's pictures. You may see somebody, they may not be a good picture taker. They may not take good photos. They may look better in person.
Right.
But
I've had a few of those where
it's
damn.
Where you're surprised. Yeah. You're pleasantly surprised, right? Yeah. So it's not the best indicator, and a woman may not have given you attention based on your Tinder profile, but in person it could have been a different vibe.
The thing is, I think we as a society now have way more options than our parents did back in the day, our grandparents did back in the day. Mm-hmm. Like, you would have to go out and meet these people. You could do that now, absolutely. Mm-hmm. But unless you're like dressed nice or have something to offer, most women are just like, eh. Mm. And like for my profile, obviously, like I have shallow responses, and my profile could be like super good, super clean, but then the next profile after could be like chiseled dude with abs. Mm-hmm. But it's just like that initial lust.
Right. Instant gratification. I
think that's...
I talk about that all the time.
Yeah. Instant gratification. It's definitely like a problem nowadays. Everybody wants that instant gratification. Nobody wants to build anything.
You know, that's a good point. Nobody wants to build anything, right? Nope. Like, everybody wants the fairy tale relationship.
Yeah.
But like, the fairy tale relationship requires a level of effort that people aren't used to anymore.
Yeah.
Because they get that instant gratification.
Yeah.
Like, people confuse the fact that happiness is not self-fulfillment. Mm-hmm. So like, they take the feelings of, some people think that what do you call it? The honeymoon phase is supposed to last fucking forever.
No,
it's not.
No.
Like, the moment the honeymoon phase ends and you have to transition to a different stage of the relationship, some people can't do that. They don't have the tools to do it anymore.
No.
Like, building an actual solid relationship takes work. Yeah. And it's super uncomfortable. It's not supposed to be easy, but like, if you really care about somebody, that's the work that it takes to have this fairy tale relationship where you stay together 30 years. Very few people nowadays are willing to put in that work.
Yeah, most people, I think a fair number, at least in my experience, has been like 3 months. Like, if I start talking to somebody serious, it usually lasts 3 months. Because at that 3-month mark is usually when the honeymoon phase ends, when you start getting into more arguments, petty arguments, and then it starts spiraling into something bigger. And instead of working through that, most people are just like, nah, I want to go on to the next thing. I want my instant gratification.
Because it's easy.
It's easier to do that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be uncomfortable or have those uncomfortable conversations anymore.
But then they also want the fairy tale relationship.
Yeah.
They don't want to put in that work. That's not even in dating. That transitions to everything else, even social media.
Yeah.
I talked about this with Andrew on the last episode. People see, oh shit, Adam's going to Worlds. Like, that's crazy. I'm going to start powerlifting. They don't see the work that you put in since 2019 to get there. The times where like, you were experimenting with different coaches, experimenting with different training methodologies where you weren't on your game, and then you were like at the top of it. All that you had to go through to get to that point, people don't see that.
Yeah,
people don't see that, and like, the work itself really is definitely lacking in our generation. Mm-hmm. If you don't have examples to teach you how to put the work in, like, how are you gonna? A lot of people just don't know how to do it. Yeah. So like, even with dating, the next option is like at the tip of your fingers.
Yeah,
and I feel like if you're not aware of that, it can do harm to your ability to really form a genuine connection with somebody if you're just online, and that's where your like reality is. Yeah.
I think I'll touch upon a different topic after.
Yeah.
But for me, I've viewed dating as like a learning experience almost. I don't want to look at it that way, but that's what it's become. With every person you date, you kind of learn more things about how women act. You learn, I won't say how women act, but you see bullshit. You see the bullshit, like how women make up excuses and all this other things. And I think for me, I kind of pick it up quick. Like, usually on the first date, I'll pick it up if you're bullshitting me or not.
Bullshitting how?
Bullshitting, like, in terms of your intentions.
Okay.
Like, oh yeah, I want this, that, and the other. Like, I want something serious. But then it slips up in conversation of like how you really are. I kind of pay attention to how they talk about like their friends, how they talk about like their life in general, and I'll be like, what you're saying doesn't match what you want.
It's not math.
There's no correlation.
Yeah.
And I picked that up pretty quickly. So yeah, I especially now, I used to be someone who like caught feelings super quick. Like 1 date, 2 dates, I'd be like, oh, this is my woman, blah, blah, blah. And I think it took me going on multiple dates to be like, to have that sense of detachment. And I think that's what people, I don't want to say what people should have now, but I think to date easier, to not be so attached, is to have that detachment style. Like view things how it is, and don't take things too serious until, you know, you see that you guys mesh, and then see if you guys can form something.
Right.
So to me, if like, for example, the last person I dated, I didn't want to rush into anything. I always, if I meet somebody, I want to build something with somebody, especially if the vibe is well. But I'm not going to sit here and jump into a relationship a month, 2 months in. Like, I need to know how you're going to respond under pressure, how you're going to respond when we argue, how you treat your family, all this other things. It's like, there's more to dating than just the physical. I think that's what people miss a lot of the times. And I think people should focus more on like the characteristics of the person. Right. Is this person going to be right for me in the long haul? Could you see yourself marrying this person?
I feel like people don't go into relationships anymore with that mentality. Yeah. It's more casual in the sense where we're dating, but like there's no intent to build on this and make it last longer. Yeah. So if you're dating somebody, but you're not actively putting in the work to make it last longer and build that sustainable relationship, it's not gonna work. Yeah.
And it's like, is this person gonna like be patient with me on my bad days too? It's not only just me putting in that effort, it's also the person getting to know me. It's like, are they gonna get to know me and like what takes me off, like how I am with like my family or like my friends, is like, or how I am in general, or how I take problem solving skills. This is things that like people should look at when it comes to serious dating, and not just the physical. Like, yeah, you can have like a physical like vibe, like you mesh well, you guys can have sex well, and blah blah blah. But then after that fades,
that's only a piece of it, and that's momentary. Yeah. Like, even if you sleep with your partner once a day, there's still so much time outside of that where what's the relationship? Can you tolerate this person? Do you like their company? Do you show affection the same way? Do you receive affection the same way? Like, what's your attachment style?
My attachment style, I think I have an anxious attachment style.
Okay. Me too.
Yeah. So like, to me, if I sense the vibe is off or like different, then I'm already like in panic mode of like, oh shit, like what's wrong? What did I do wrong? Or are they like ready to move on? Whatever. And sometimes I'll like catch myself and be like, listen, like chill out, relax. Like maybe you did nothing wrong. Maybe they're having an off day. Once it becomes a recurring thing is when it's like, okay, like we have to address this, because it's like, why are you acting so shady? Yeah. In my last relationship, I think that's when it like showed a lot about me. I think I learned a lot from that relationship. Yeah. Like I learned.
Your last serious relationship?
My last serious relationship, which is I think like well over 2 years at this point. But it's like I revolved my life and my happiness over this one person.
Put yourself aside.
And I put myself aside. But this is also during COVID, so there was not much going on. Yeah. Which is also hard, because you're like, I want to put all my attention to this person, and also there's nothing else going on. And I think that's something I learned from my last relationship, is like, I will never do that again. I will never put somebody else before me. Like, obviously I will make sacrifices, I will make compromises, I will, put time aside for them, but unless they're doing the same, I'm not going to do the same.
I was just going to say that the effort has to be reciprocal.
Yeah, absolutely. It has to be
reciprocal.
Yeah. Because like, I'm not going to like sacrifice my happiness to make you happy. Right. We need to sacrifice things in our life to make each other happy.
There has to be some kind of balance.
Yeah, it has to be a balance.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
No, what were you going to say?
So for you, like, you've kind of gotten to this point in dating where you've gotten all these experiences.
Yeah.
It's helped kind of mold what you're looking for. How are you going to know next time? Like, what's going to be an indicator on your next first date with a girl that, okay, like, I'm going to take her seriously, or I could take her seriously?
I think, to me, because I do have some friends that, like, there's this one friend I talk to, her name is Julie. I talk to her almost every day. To me, the way she is, like, if she lived closer, I would drop everything and date her.
Okay. Where does she live?
Texas.
Okay. She lives in Texas.
But to me, I think I need not somebody similar to her, because obviously not everybody's the same. But I think her hard work, the way she like treats her family, the way she treats herself, like the way she prioritizes her life, is something I would look for in somebody.
Okay.
Like, I think somebody who has their things together, somebody who has goals, somebody who's like family oriented, I think is one, and somebody who doesn't like, I guess, go out and like party all the time. I think that's a big one for me too. Is, yes, you can go out and party. Like, I'm not gonna say like, yeah, you can't go out and party. Like, the fuck you gonna do out at the clubs? But to me, that's something that I take serious. It's like, yeah, you can have your nights off, like your nights out, whatever. But if you're doing that constantly, multiple times a week, to me, that's like...
That's a lifestyle thing too, at that point.
Yeah. Like, to me, like, once we're dating, it's like... Not saying you have to sacrifice that, but to me, if you want me to take you serious, you can't be at the clubs. Can't be like
every night
at these VIP tables and shit.
Not the VIP tables, yo.
But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, I guess their lifestyle has to be like in check.
Yeah, and that's not a lifestyle that's consistent with a competitor.
No.
You're not.
No.
Even in the off season, you're not going to the club every weekend.
No.
If that's something that's fun for one person, that's not fun for you. That's a big compromise if you're gonna be with someone who parties all the time.
Right.
But let me ask about this Julie though. Like, so the issue is distance.
Right.
Personally, like, I'm not against long distance relationships after you've already established a connection with the person.
Right.
So, like, have you guys already established that connection?
So we've kind of both agreed to become like very good friends. I don't think either of us are willing.
But you've met in person?
No.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
No. She lives in like by the border of Texas, like the valley, like southern Texas.
Okay.
But like neither of us are willing to compromise on that long distance.
Gotcha.
Me, because of the experience of like my past, and my past relationship was long distance. So to me, I feel like it would require a lot of trust and a lot of effort on both ends for me to like trust somebody else again long distance. Not saying it's not possible. It's just, for me, it's very difficult at this point, especially having a failed relationship long distance and what it did to my mentality. For her, it's very much like she needs that physical. She needs somebody that's going to be there in person with her, building something with her, and like showing that affection in person. Like, you can't show, like, you can show affection through like phone calls, through FaceTimes and things like that. But there's a difference between that and like in person. It's very different.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
It's very different. So I think that's the reason why we haven't actually like done anything. Like, she's like my very good friend. Like, she knows me. Like, she's gotten to know me. And I think in terms of like dating, and we both said this, that we need to find somebody that brings out the side of us, like the way we do for each other, and somebody else.
Right.
I think that's helped a lot with dating too, because I'm like, I want something like that.
Gotcha.
Not saying obviously the exact same person, but like those same core values and that same like willingness to like learn. And obviously we have our arguments too as like friends, because obviously, you know, we both have bad days, so you have those arguments. But yeah, like somebody who's patient like that and like understands like, okay, you're having a bad day, okay, I'm having a bad day, whatever.
Right.
But like we understand, you know, not to overreact, and it's not personal.
Right.
I think that's what I look for in dating now. It's like I need that like those values.
Right. So you have that kind of like
a
that
blueprint
as
almost.
a measure.
Yeah.
To like how you're gonna. I think that's good.
Yeah.
That kind of at this point you're just in a phase where see if you find it.
Yeah. And it's like, I know it's not something that's going to establish like overnight. Obviously, you have to go out and meet people. I just haven't made myself available to meet anybody. I think after the last person I talked to, I realized that I'm not willing to compromise on my time anytime soon, the way that I should for a relationship. So I decided to just take a break from dating and just focus on powerlifting, which is why I've done so many meets this year already. It's because I wanted to keep that my main focus, and then I wanted to keep work my main focus, like make money, compete, train hard. I think that's been my focus. Once I'm ready to date, obviously, like I'm not saying like I'm not going on dates, but I've taken a break from like seriously
really
dating,
trying to find someone. Yeah. And that's not going to fail you.
No.
That's not going to fail you at all, especially since that time is being invested in yourself. And if you're going to invest it in somebody, it's got to be someone you want to be serious with. But you mentioned earlier, you don't mess with Bumble.
Yeah. It's because...
Why are we beefing with Bumble?
I'm not going to lie. Most girls do not have game. And
I mean, this is facts.
And Bumble is very like heavy on...
Isn't it mostly like
matching? Women have to send out the text.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, you know how shallow women can be. They like wait for like that cookie cutter guy they're looking for, and then they just send hey or hi. But then if a guy sends that, it's like
it's lame, boring. Yeah.
The fuck out of my DMs.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bumble. I've had no success with Bumble. I haven't used it in years because I'm like, women just have no game. I'm about to get all the hate.
Oh, it's fine. I used it in college for a week. I was all set.
Yeah, no.
I was all set. As somebody who doesn't even really like dating apps in general, Bumble, I was like, nah.
I will say though, I think the most overlooked dating app is Instagram.
People don't look at it as a dating app though.
I know.
People don't look at it that way, but it is.
It is. Because I think it's the best way to set up dates. I think I've had more success setting up dates on Instagram than I have on dating apps. And that's just because you have the profile already. You're seeing what they post daily. You see how they live, like what they do on a day-to-day basis, what they share, their pictures, and you can decide from there, like, oh shit, like that's dope. Let me shoot her a text. Whether that works,
insight.
Yeah. You have much better insight. It's more personable. Whereas Tinder is very just bland. Like, yeah, obviously you have a profile, but it's not it's not to the extent of Instagram.
It's just a little snapshot.
It's a little snapshot, whereas Instagram is like the full.
You get like more insight. Yeah.
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 I think people overlook that.
And Instagram has its own like kind of dating language.
Yeah.
Where it's like liking stories or to express interest. There's a whole dating language on Instagram now that actually makes that even easier for people to navigate. So like overall, objectively, Instagram is a better dating app than all the other ones. Yeah. Even though it's not intended to be a dating app.
And also, I know I said girls don't have game, but also there's more success when girls shoot their shot.
On Instagram?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because when you shoot their shot, so this is the way I see it. When I shoot my shot at somebody, obviously there's some value there. You're putting some value on her, and obviously there's other people putting value on that woman. So obviously now she has her choice of like, okay, same thing as a dating app. Who am I going to pick? When a woman shoots her shot, they're putting the value on you.
Right.
And obviously for guys, it's different because we don't get compliments that often from women.
No. It stands out.
Yeah. So it stands out. And I think women definitely should shoot their shot more.
I've been saying this for so long. I've been saying this for so long.
They just got to get their game out.
If you're a girl and you are interested in a guy. Yeah. Everybody in this generation is fucking antisocial. Nobody has the skills to really approach anybody. If you're a girl, just a simple hi or even like a snarky comment or a funny comment, even an attempt at being funny is going to get a guy's attention. Yeah. Because most guys don't get that. Yeah. I try to tell my female friends this, like this, you gotta, if you're interested in a guy, say something. Do anything to get his attention because it's gonna stand out.
Right.
Because all the other girls who are interested in him are not doing that.
Yeah. And obviously, like I said, women don't have game. But even the little things, just putting attention to a guy, it's enough sometimes.
Right.
Like, I think the most used one that I've gotten, because it's always the same ones. It's like, I'll post a video of me lifting or whatever. Like,
yep. I already know what you're gonna say.
Have you gotten this one too? The one where it's like, I bet you could lift me like that.
Yup. Yeah. Yep.
And that's usually enough. I'll be like,
yeah,
a word?
But it's ballsy.
It's ballsy. It's also the most used one, though.
It's the most used one, yeah.
That I've gotten. I mean, I'll take it every time.
Even the effort, though.
Yeah, the effort is what matters. Like, I'll be like, this one. They just said that.
But that tells a guy that, like...
She's interested.
She's interested. Mm-hmm. She doesn't have a massive ego. Yeah. She can put her pride aside and at least... like put forth effort. She's not afraid to like defy conventional dating by being a female to be the first one to express interest. Right. So that right there is already like, we're very like, for the most part, we can be very simple-minded. Yeah. And as a guy, you're raised to be the one that's pursuing. You're raised to be the one that has to initiate everything. So when you see a girl kind of do that, it's going to stand out immediately and just off of the vibe. Yeah. Like a lot of my more successful dates has been when the woman shoots her shot. Or like, more times that I've like scored, I guess, in a sense, has been when a woman shoots her shot. Right. So I think to me that also speaks to my like, I guess, dating experience is usually I don't put so much pressure on like shooting my shot. Like I will shoot my shot on occasion. But sometimes I just wait. Yeah. Like I'm not in a hurry to like date or anything, but whenever somebody does shoot their shot, I'm like, all right, like, we'll see where this goes. Right. Whether that takes weeks or months or whatever. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, let's see where this goes. Obviously, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But, you know you have that value in yourself. It's like, you can attract, like, like women. And that kind of helps with confidence, too. Because we've both been at that point where we didn't have any confidence. Yeah. So, absolutely. Like, and that reflected in how we went about treating the women we were dating, where you're putting them first because you value yourself so little, and your value is attached to how much this person cares about you, right? And it takes experiencing that kind of heartbreak, absolutely, to then reshift that energy in yourself, to then realize, oh shit, like, I don't need to tie my value to anybody, and then once you start putting more effort into yourself, you start leveling up, you start becoming more of a successful reflects man. It'll reflect. It reflects. Yeah. It reflects. Yeah. Yeah. I think the more like success I get, like as I get older, like in terms of like work, in terms of like what I do, like the comps and stuff, it brings more eyes to me in terms of like dating. That they're like, oh shit, like damn, naturally. Like, yeah. So I think definitely, I guess the main takeaway is like, you just got to focus on yourself and build your character, and it'll reflect and it'll attract. Like the rest will follow. Yeah, it'll attract what you want. I don't believe in like chasing like women anymore. Like I usually don't chase. I just the old heads have been saying that for years. Yeah, you got to chase them since we were kids. Yeah, they were saying don't chase them. Oh, they were saying don't chase them. Focus on yourself. And when you're a teenager, you don't really think about that. You're just, you don't have that confidence. Right. So you'd want to do the chasing. And you realize, like, you don't have to as a guy. Like, you don't have to. Yeah. And that's not to say it's like, oh, you're cocky, confident, whatever. Like, like whatever. No, it just speaks to the maturity of what you have. And you know what you have to offer. And you don't have to go out and look for it. You don't have to pitch yourself to anybody. No. If like they see the value, they're gonna see the value. Yeah. And if they don't, hey, that's on them. Yeah. Their loss. I'm not saying on to the next, but like on to the next. You kind of have that mentality. Exactly. Yeah. So I kind of want to touch on something you mentioned earlier, clothing. Yes. So like I've gone back and looked at like, not intentionally, but I've gone back and looked at old photos of me. Yeah. Back when I started working out. Say I'm looking for like a picture. I'll go back and I'll find a picture from like 2016, I'm like, damn, like I really left the house looking like that.
Yo,
I look at be like, damn, this is what I was wearing to the gym.
Yo, and that I don't know why this brought up like a picture in my mind. But one of my boys, we'd call them the Floods.
The Floods,
the fucking jeans that you would like step over.
Oh nah, with the frizzles at the end. Oh no.
And you look back and you're like, damn, I would wear that? Like, that's foul.
Yeah.
You let me walk out the house like that.
Yeah. But I want to bring that up because one of the things that you're really in, we both been in.
Yeah.
One of the things that has kind of really been a thing within our friendship is like fashion.
Yeah.
So back in 2016, like the biggest brand was probably Gymshark. Yeah. There wasn't really a lot of these other brands. Vanquish was kind of the thing too.
Yeah.
But like, yo, my 2016 fits were like,
you're like, oh,
this was when like I didn't care about.
Yeah.
I was too self-conscious to want to look good or even care. I didn't even know if I'd be going to the gym long term.
Especially like, let's be honest. Back then, you would get clowned if you had like a fresh fit to the gym.
Yeah. Yes.
You would be clowned.
You would kind of get roasted a little bit. Like, yo, why is this dude wearing tight pants? Yeah. Stringer shirt.
Yeah.
It was like, it wasn't a thing to look good at the gym. Like, it wasn't fashion culture within the gym was not, that wasn't a thing.
Like, even I would be wearing like Walmart fucking tanks with like Walmart sweats. And
Same.
Like fucking.
I'd wear the Reebok ones from Walmart. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had my first pair of gym shoes were like these blue running sneakers I bought from Dick's.
Yeah.
I wore those all summer.
I think mine were like the Nike free runs.
Yeah, the free runs. Yeah. But like, I forget. It was Alpha Elite, actually.
Okay.
Alpha Elite. I forget why. Like, I really got into it, kind of. I wasn't really a big Gymshark person. Mm-hmm. But I got to a point where I was like, I think I saw a guy in the gym wearing Alpha Elite. Or he was wearing, like, tapered joggers. Mm-hmm. I was like, yo, those are fresh. Like, I like those better than the joggers that I'm wearing.
Right. It looks more aesthetically pleasing.
It looks way more aesthetic. So, like, I'm like, all right, I'll buy a pair. Like, at that point, I cared more about investing in myself a little more. Right. I was like, all right, I'll buy a pair. And they felt so nice and so comfortable. And I was like, oh, shit, what else do they have?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, shit.
It's a slippery slope.
That was a slippery slope. I'm like, what other brands that, like, besides Alpha Elite that make, and Gymshark make fitness clothing that are fashionable that you can wear, like this whole athleisure wave got me into that. And that's one of the things that we kind of bonded over when we met was like, yo, where'd you get that shirt?
Yeah. For me, I think, when did it start? I think it started like when I started working at Max, because I think that's when I started making more money. But right around the time I started powerlifting, I was watching Russ and Max Tuning. And Max Tuning had a clothing brand. And I think there was a specific video that I have in my mind. He was working out at his gym in Virginia.
Okay. Max. Okay.
And he was wearing this dope gray, it was an Everforward. It was a dope gray Everforward shirt. It was, this brand doesn't exist anymore, but Ape Athletic joggers. And like fresh ass shoes. And I'm like, yo, why my boy look crispy in that fit?
Yeah.
So I like did research. Like I literally paused the video. I'm like, what brand is that? Like that was dope. Like I want that. It was Ape Athletics. It doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. But they made dope clothing. And that was that brand and Everforward were my first gym brands I went to. Yeah. Like they were just like crispy, fresh. Like the joggers were dope. Like I would just mix and match. But yeah, that started right around like I guess 2017. I think that's when I started working at Max, like 2017. I don't know like when that transition happened, but I'm like, yo, like I just need to look fresh for the gym. Yeah. I think there was another transition that happened too, and I started wearing a lot more wrestling shirts because I'm still a big wrestling fan. But I would buy like the wrestling tanks, like with like your favorite like wrestlers. I think that's what started it because I would like order those for the gym, and I don't know where like I saw Max and his fresh fits, and I'm like, yo, I want that. Like he looks clean, looks dope. I want to look clean and dope at the gym too. Yeah. And even that location of the gym that I used to work at was on Branch. Like everybody was kind of like there was no fresh fit.
Nobody was fresh. Yeah.
But like when I started working out there, like when I started working and then working out there, I'm like, I started investing in better fits, and I'm like, yo, I look I feel better.
Yeah.
I have more confidence on top of like lifting. I think a big thing, especially with like fashion culture now, is like look good, feel good is like a term I keep hearing tossed around. I feel like that's true.
I agree.
Like you can't tell me like when you're not wearing like the brand new fit, you're not about to show out.
No, the PRs are about to go crazy.
Yeah.
Every new pair of shorts I buy, I'm like, all right, leg day. I'm gonna wear these on leg day.
Yeah.
And like, you know, when you look at yourself in between sets and you look aesthetic, you look good.
Yeah.
You see the pump. You know, it enhances the workout.
Yeah.
It enhances the
absolutely.
workout.
But I remember fucking Aries and Dan would clown on me.
Oh yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Yo, he cares about his fits more than the workout.
Yeah, no, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody
hops on the wave now.
Hops on the bandwagon.
Yeah, we were already ahead of the game. When we met, we were ahead of the game.
No, we were ahead of the game. You definitely put me on to a few different brands, Everforward and Ape Athletics for sure. I actually tried to order a pair of their joggers.
Yeah.
I like molded over for months.
Yeah.
And I wanted to order a pair, and they sold out. Oh, they didn't sell out. I couldn't find the website. I was like, yo, what happened?
Yeah.
And I found out they didn't exist anymore. But they were one of the jogger brands that I would see you wear all the time. I was like, oh, this is kind of crispy.
I still have them. I might start wearing them again.
Yeah? Bring it back. But like, now you see where it's at today.
Yeah.
Everybody's wearing like Alphalete. Gymshark's still like huge nowadays.
Gymshark, see, the thing I like about Gymshark, not that I buy Gymshark, but I think the thing I'll praise them for is the fact that they adapted to the times.
Yeah, they
especially with their athletes. Like you look at Gymshark back in the day versus now, they have more of a diverse set of athletes. They have athletes in different like avenues and different sports. Young LA is doing a lot of that too.
Young LA, yeah.
Like Young LA has fucking UFC people sponsored.
Yeah, Sean O'Malley,
John Jones.
And it's crazy to see like that they were able to get those two massive names.
And then Jay Cutler too.
Jay Cutler, yeah. He's like he reps them hard too.
Yeah.
And I go back 2017. I think I bought a pair of Young LA shorts. They were not it. They were not it.
Trash.
These were like hoochie daddies.
Yeah.
They weren't comfortable. They were too tight, and I kind of like stopped wearing them a little bit.
Yeah.
But over time, they just started to invest more and more.
Yeah.
Into building a better kind of catalog of clothing, and kind of honing in on this niche that they wanted to go for, and they did a really good job of getting people within that niche.
I think they've definitely picked up a lot of steam in the last year.
Huge.
Because yes, Young LA was huge like even a year ago, but like now, like you see the events they're having, they're like bringing all these people together. Like I think this past weekend they had like a huge ass event. And
yeah,
they rented out
one.
Looked like a hangar, like a full hangar of just like a bunch of like podiums with like different athletes, and they definitely I think have found that like what works. Gymshark did the same thing. Not saying to the level of Young LA, even though I think Gymshark is bigger than Young LA.
Yeah,
but I think Gymshark is kind of seeing that, like, oh, we need to get more different athletes. It's like Gymshark has Nabil now.
Yeah,
Jamal, Cranen, Swole Ricketts, a bunch of people.
Yeah,
they started making powerlifting singlets. They started making oversized shirts, whereas before it used to just be the cutoff. It used to be like the short shorts. But now it's like, okay, now they're like seeing, okay, what's fashionable now? What's trending?
It's either adapt or die.
Yeah.
And like they're doing it.
Yeah.
Alphalete was a little slow on like the mesh shorts wave.
Even now, they're not my favorite. I have a pair and they're not my favorite.
Yeah.
I think I like Alphalete though. I just think they're falling a little behind.
Yeah.
In terms of like what other brands are doing. I still love Alphalete though. Like I'll still order their stuff. Like I liked, like you saw in New Orleans, I had the jersey. The basketball jerseys.
Yeah.
Those are fire.
Yeah.
None of the other brands did basketball jerseys.
No.
But Alphalete did it. And I was like, damn, loud as
Yo. Do they got a boombox walking down the street?
That's wild.
That's wild, yo.
But I think Alphalete has been, I think, focused more on Alpha Land.
Yeah.
So I think they're coming out with a lot more merch around Alpha Land versus Alpha Elite. Like, yeah, they'll have like launches very frequently, but it's nothing new. It's very much the same.
Right.
It's a lot of the
Alpha
same.
becoming a big thing.
Yeah, and that's why I think the focus is becoming more on like, all right, let's promote Alpha Land more, and in turn it'll like bring more people towards Alpha Elite and order more from Alpha Elite. GBT, well, now it's better, the better brand.
Now it's just the better brand. Yeah.
They're very unique, I would say, in terms of like what they come out with, because like when Russ talks about like his clothing brand, it's stuff he wants to wear. And I think that's why it's so successful, is because he puts the love, effort, and passion. It's because that's something he likes to wear.
Right.
And I think that's why it does so well. And that's also a brand that you and me both love.
Yeah, GBT. Once I hopped on the wave, I was like,
yo, every launch gets better and better. Did you order anything from them?
I did not.
They have a Labor Day sale today.
Do they?
Yeah.
I might have to check it out.
You might have to check it out after this.
But I will say, when it comes to GBT, they have a community around that that feeds into the merch that no other brand has. Gymshark doesn't have it. Alpha Elite doesn't have it. They have like the Discord where people talk about the clothes. Yeah. It's like, it's a GBT's community. Well, better brand now.
Yeah.
It's different than all the other like fashion brands. They're elevating now from just athleisure and the gym stuff to even casual stuff.
Yeah.
They're building a whole like movement and wave that also feeds into the powerlifting, and it's like all this ecosystem that I don't think any other brand has.
No. I think Inaka comes close. But even Inaka is very much like just continuing their like what works for them. I know they're experimenting a bit, especially because I think Shali, like the owner of Inaka, has put more emphasis on stuff he wears too, like the oversized like joggers, like matching sets, like jean jackets, like just jackets in general that have the Inaka like logo. He's definitely like experimenting, I think, and I do follow him like pretty closely, so I know he's coming out with different things. I think Inaka is another one that puts in a lot of effort, and they also have their own Discord too. They
do. They have podcasts. They do.
Yeah.
And the other question on the Instagram poll that people want to know about was what your biggest fear was.
Yeah. I think just because it happened today, but one of my biggest fears is like just, it's not really, I don't want to say like, it's a big fear for me, but it's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. But I guess a big fear for me would be like injuring myself to the point of like complete setback, of like a complete standstill. So being like broken, like you broke an arm or something like that, or like broken bone, or like, or something like a spinal injury, something like that. Like something related to like lifting and getting injured in that aspect, and not being able to lift again. I think that's probably one of my biggest fears that just like came to mind now. Just because today when I was lifting, like same weight I've lifted like all the time, but for some reason I guess I overlooked something, pulled something in my back, so now my back is all like, it's a little tweaked. Like even sitting now is like a little uncomfortable. But luckily it's nothing major. But like I think a big fear for me would be not being able to do something I love.
Yeah.
Or like being like, I don't want to say disabled, but like I said, that inability to not do something you love because of how your body is.
Yeah. And you don't, like, me personally, that's not something I even think about on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Until I meet somebody who's like, yeah, I can't train for 8 months. Yeah. And it's like, damn. So that's another reason why, like, it's so important to pay attention to recovery. Because you're at that point now. You got to start going to yoga. You got to get a massage gun. Like, you're at that point now.
Yeah.
So where you have to make sure your recovery is more proportionate to the amount of training that you're putting in.
I think I overlooked that a lot too.
Yeah.
Like I'll obviously do my stretching, and obviously like I'll do my like pre-workout ritual, and I'll like make sure like everything is primed and ready. But I think the post-recovery could definitely use some work.
Yeah.
I agree. Let's see if I have any other fears. I guess the fear of like ending up alone would be like one. Like you just find like nobody for you, or like maybe I don't have this problem because I just get along with a lot of people, but just alienating yourself from everybody and just like having nobody to go to and nobody to turn to when you're at your lowest. I think that would be another big fear for me. Like I said, I don't think I have that issue just because I just genuinely get along with everybody. And I'm not an asshole. I don't think you would say I'm an asshole.
I don't think you're an asshole at all.
So, but yeah, that would be another one. Getting cheated on for sure.
Yeah.
I think getting cheated on would be like up there in fears because that drives a lot of like my insecurities too.
I
Especially,
mean, how could it not?
Yeah, like, but then that's also the issue that I dealt with in my last relationship is like I put too much emphasis on that fear without concrete evidence. I was just like assuming in my mind this person's cheating. And even like in dating, whenever I take it serious, like sometimes I'll like think back to that and like she's cheating on me, but I'm like, wait, we're not a thing. Like,
right. Yeah.
Like stop worrying about things you can't control. If somebody's gonna cheat, somebody's gonna cheat.
That's a very good point. Like if that's also been like my philosophy. If they're gonna do it, you're not gonna do anything to stop them. Like freaking out about it, being afraid about it.
Yeah.
When it may not even be a thing, isn't worth like the emotional energy. Yeah. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen.
Right.
Like if somebody wants to do it, they're gonna do it.
Right.
And when it happens, that's when you fucking keep moving. You deal with the emotions. But I feel like even me, that's a huge fear of mine.
Yeah.
Even when it's never been like a valid fear.
Yeah.
And it's not like you have no evidence to prove that could even be a thing.
Yeah.
Just naturally as a man, it's always something that you're gonna be afraid of.
It's almost disrespectful and like. And would you say that cheating as a man is I don't want to say a lot less severe because cheating in general is severe, but it hurts more when it's a woman than it's a man.
It hurts more
when it's a woman, like
when it's a woman cheating.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm also not a woman, so I can't quantify whether or not like it hurts more.
Yeah, but for me, I think it hurts more when a woman does it. It's because I don't think women crave women do crave sex, but not as much as men. So whenever a woman cheats on somebody, it's always like small little. It
tends to be more emotional though.
Yeah, there you go.
When a woman cheats,
yeah.
Whereas
there's more of like preemptive like planning, whereas when a guy cheats, like most of the time, it's like
that's a good way to put it.
Like
I've
it's
never
just
thought
like,
about it that way.
All right, like I fucked. All right, most of the time.
Yeah.
Like I fucked. Like I'm good. Like, I don't need to see you anymore.
Right. There's no emotional attachment involved.
And obviously, not saying cheating is any less severe with the
this
gender.
This is a nuanced discussion. Yeah.
But you already know it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck do you mean?
It's a nuanced discussion.
Yeah.
Cheating is bad, people.
Yeah, cheating is
terrible.
Yeah. Don't condone it. That would be like a big fear for me. Would be like getting cheated on.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, for women, it tends to be more emotional.
Yeah. 100%.
Like if it's done, and I feel like that's what may hurt more.
Yeah.
As a guy.
I think my other fear. Did you want to check on that before?
No, that's fine.
Okay. My other biggest fear would be like ending up with a woman, but then like having a kid, building a family, and then it not working out. Not working out.
Yeah.
And now you got to deal with like baby mama drama and all this other bullshit.
That's so common nowadays, though.
And I think I see that way too often now. Obviously, we have people in our lives that just like have to deal with baby mama stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, baby mama drama. And to me, I every time I like go into like having sex with somebody, I always think like I don't want to get this girl pregnant.
So you should probably stop. That's when you're like, I'm all set.
Yeah. Or you think you're like, I should probably put on protection.
Yeah. No, that's a good point, because at the very least, if one of my fears when it comes to that, that's always been a fear, is like you knock up somebody who ends up being like the worst. That ends up being like just not even somebody you can co-parent with.
Right.
And that's scary.
Yeah. Because like, damn, like she's going to be raised in a household that's just so like, he or she's going to be raised in a household that's so like toxic. And it's like, you have two different like people butting heads. Mm-hmm. And it's like you don't know who to look towards, especially at that young of an age.
Mm-hmm.
Like if y'all separate at that young of an age, like a child, like it's very much like a sponge.
Kids are impressionable too.
Yeah, like they take a lot of what they see at home, emulate it. Like, yeah, that like I wouldn't want like my son or daughter to like grow up in like a dysfunctional household.
Right. What's the definition of dysfunctional for you?
Like, in a sense of like, okay, I guess in a sense of like family status would be like not the parents not getting along.
Okay.
I think a big like issue a lot of trauma people have nowadays is that the parents don't get along, so then it brings up trauma in their lives because then either they don't have a mom or they don't have a dad,
right?
Or they do have both, but then they hate each other. It's like disgruntled. There's like no good relationship there, and then they take that into the relationships in the future, whether that's with like friends or like significant others.
Right.
It's like that's all they're used to, so that's all they're going to look for.
Oh, 100%, and that's what creates your attachment style too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which then transitions to like how you're going to date. So it all starts with your parents too.
Yeah,
literally. That's one thing that I've learned in my past relationships. People are a product of whatever relationship they had with their parents.
Yeah,
they're a product of that. And then if they haven't addressed that trauma or figured out how to cope with that trauma or build better coping habits, whatever they took away from those relationships, and even me, like myself too, whatever I took away from the relation with my parents, that's the dynamic that I had in my romantic relationships. And it's like, damn, it makes you think, all right, I got to be a little more mindful when I have kids. Yeah. Of like how I'm going to raise them. Yeah. And yeah.
But it also makes, like, back to the topic of dating, it also makes dating tougher.
Yeah. Yo.
Which is why people have to have more patience.
These dads, like, man. These dads that a number on their kids. Modern dating scene. Yeah. That's kind of what it is. Yeah. That's why I have a little more hope for like the next generation though. Just because like our generation, mental health is less stigmatized. More people are becoming more emotionally aware. It's not as weird for a man to like talk about his emotions and things like that.
Yeah. I think it's definitely more open.
Oh, like, for sure.
Obviously more guys are going to therapy and things like that.
Yeah.
But definitely I can see that because like even in my household, like mental health wasn't a big thing. It's like if you're having a bad day, it's kind of like get over it.
Get over it, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, well, fuck. And that's a big, not an issue, but like something I deal with on a day-to-day basis is like opening up. Because I'm like, well, at home it was always grow up with like, nah, get over it. Right. You'll be fine. Yeah. And then whenever I have issues, I'm just like, I don't want to bring it up because it just to me the way I look at it, whenever I like open up about something, it's me bitching about something. I shouldn't look at it that way.
Even though that's not really how it should be looked at.
No, but that's how I've been like raised to look at it. It's like, why are you bitching about that? Obviously not a healthy thing. So I definitely have tried to work on opening up to people when it's needed, but I still struggle because I'm like, nah, like I don't want people to like worry about my struggle, especially like, again, my last relationship, I would open up too much. And now that's like, those things were used against me. And now it's like,
have you found yourself deviating to the complete opposite where you just give so little to the next person? Yeah.
That past trauma,
man. But then the fact that you're aware of it, that's a big step. That's a big thing. To like know how it affects you. What
helps is just definitely being self-aware about a lot of things. In terms of like mental health, in terms of like how you act as a person, like things like that. It definitely like helps, I guess, in a way. Like you being as a person in general.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah. And just to kind of pivot now, I want to talk a little bit about how. So tell me why, like a month after New Orleans, you're like, yo, bro. So I got extorted. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Are we talking about the stripper?
No. We're talking about the girl from Tinder, the fiend.
You can talk about it.
I mean,
Yo.
you almost also got extorted by a stripper.
Yo.
But we're not talking about her.
Yo, oh my God. Fucking stripper, bro. $800.
She tried to get you.
Yo. You're trying to get me drunk. That's
you sobered up so fast.
That's foul. I never sobered up so fast in my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a situation recently, well, a couple months ago at this point, where I met somebody on Tinder. And obviously we chatted up, talked through Instagram. So I was like, all right, cool. This, like, all right, whatever. Mm-hmm. Obviously, us guys get horny. We don't make the best decisions when we're horny.
Yeah, horny brain, man.
Yeah. And then she was like, oh, let's start exchanging pictures or whatever. I'm like, all right. Damn, that clap was loud. I was like, I bet, whatever. So obviously we send stuff back and forth. And then the moment like it stopped for a couple minutes, and then sent
all your pictures,
like everything I sent. It wasn't many. It was like a few. It was like 3 or 4. Sent that whole thing, and it's like, "Alright, send me $400 now."
$400 now.
It's like, I'm gonna send it to all your friends and family on Instagram.
Damn.
And then I'm like, in that moment, like my heart sank because I'm like, fuck. I was like, fuck. I was like, how is like, out of everybody that this shit happens to is me. But I was like, all right, whatever. So I was trying to like plead a little bit, and be like, hey, listen, like whatever, I fucked up, whatever. Like, like can we talk about this? Can we not post this? It's like, nah, fuck that. You're gonna send me money right now, and blah blah.
Damn.
And I was like, damn. And I was like, I started asking for the PayPal because I thought about it in that moment, because I was like, it's embarrassing. Mm-hmm. Like, especially having like your nude pics like just out in the world. Like I don't think I was like that afraid of it, because obviously we have OnlyFans now. Obviously, if somebody's nudes get leaked, then it's just, you just start an OnlyFans.
Right.
But yeah, like I started asking for the PayPal, and I was like, I was trying to finesse a bit, and I was just like trying to chat. I was just trying to like calm the person down, because they were just like pissed for some reason. Mm-hmm. Like calm the person down, and then it got to a point where I'm just like, you know what, just do, like, I'm not.
You
like,
got it.
I ain't got shit. I'm broke.
Yeah, you got it.
You got me like coming off so many trips. I was like, I'm broke.
Yeah.
I was like, if you gonna post them, like,
go for it.
You got it. Like, whatever. And she was like, yeah, let me ruin your life like this. And I'm like, bro, hey. I was like, listen, I was like, it's gonna be a lesson. I was like, if I was dumb enough to fall for this, then you know what? Have at it. Whatever. And then like, she's like, I'm gonna ruin your life and blah blah blah. I don't fucking care about you, blah blah. I'm like, and she started sending me like a screen recording of all my followers. Like, you could block me, I have all your followers. I'm just gonna like DM them, blah blah blah. And I was like, all right, whatever. Like, if I was dumb enough to fall for it, like, and obviously like that's just me talking to her, but deep down I'm like, fuck, like, that shit gets leaked and whatever. Like whatever, I'll deal with the repercussions. But yeah, and then like I was like waiting. I was like, do whatever you want. And then she just kept pleading. It's like, nah, it's like, just send money right now. Send whatever you got. Buy me a phone.
That's crazy.
And I just ignored it. It just got to a point where I was just like, do it.
Do what you gotta do.
Do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
And then she tried to say, she's like, tomorrow's Friday. I'm gonna hit you up tomorrow for that money. Hit me up Friday. And I was like, I still ain't got shit.
It's still a no.
I'm like, it's still gonna be a no.
Yeah. And
then this was through Snapchat that they were messaging, and it's like, I need your phone number right now. Yeah, I'm not giving you my phone number. I'm like, nah, you want to talk to me, you're gonna talk to me through Snap.
Yeah.
Like, you ain't getting anything else. And then it was just a week of just like constant messages of like, when are you gonna send the money? When are you gonna send the money? When are you gonna send the money? And to me, at that point, when it just became like a day-to-day occurrence of like, they just kept asking, I'm just like, the pressure started coming off because I'm like, nah.
They're not gonna.
They ain't about it.
They're not gonna do anything.
Yeah. I mean, even if one day, like, God forbid, they get leaked, I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, it's a mistake on my past. Like, it is what it is. You just gotta own it. Yeah. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and like cry about it.
Right.
I might cry a bit, but I'm like, but I'm like, fuck, like, whatever. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, it was my mistake. Like, I shouldn't have been sending random ass nudes to some I don't know from fucking, I don't know where the fuck they were from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it just kept like constant messages and like constant like Snapchat phone calls, and then out of nowhere it just stopped, and then they just deleted me from Snapchat, and I never heard from that person again, which is good because I was like, okay, it's a sense of relief. But yeah, I'm like, never doing that again.
Never doing that again. That's the lesson of the day.
Yeah, don't just be sending your nudes out. Like, to me, like, if somebody's gonna send you nudes, obviously I'm gonna reciprocate the energy and be like, all right, fuck it, like, you send nudes, I'm gonna send nudes. But sometimes those people do it for the wrong reasons.
Yep.
And now I know. First experience with a scallywag doing this.
Get caught up sometimes.
Yeah.
But just to kind of close the discussion,
right?
I want to talk about this year, and the year isn't over yet. But what has been your biggest takeaway of the year? I guess the biggest lesson of the year so far.
Biggest lesson of the year so far, I would say, it's like, what is the biggest lesson is? I think this year really showed me like the amount of effort you put into something you love, the more you get back. And I think obviously with the comps specifically, just because that's been my main focus this year, has been the competitions. Definitely just taking it more serious, putting yourself out there more, like putting more emphasis on the training. I think it showed me in other aspects of my life that, you know, if you put in the same amount of effort, that effort is reciprocated.
Right.
I just think the gym has just showed me that, especially this year. I guess the other thing is just have more patience with myself. I think, especially with like dating, especially with like lifting, my job, just have more patience. I think, especially now that I'm 26, I'm having more of like a quarter life crisis, you could say. And I think I have to, obviously, yes, I need to address that. Why am I having a quarter life crisis? It's because I'm not where I want to be. And obviously I need to take a step back and kind of reevaluate, okay, how can I fix what I'm feeling? Because I'm in this constant state of stress now where I'm like, my living situation isn't where I want it to be. My work situation isn't where I want to be. The only thing that's aligning right now is my powerlifting.
Right.
But obviously I can't use powerlifting as a sustainable thing year round.
Right.
It's like a moment kind of thing. So I think I'm trying to like reground myself and like, okay, I need to really focus on my life outside of the gym. I got to stop putting so much focus and emphasis on the gym. Even though it's what I love, but I think just taking a step back and actually like getting another job and like moving out would be one too. I think that would help my overall mental health. I think definitely mental health has been something I've been trying to take more seriously this year. In terms of, okay, what's going to make me happy in the long run? What can I do to like really like, how do I say it? Like be content with where I am. I guess that would be like another lesson too. Absolutely. I know I'm kind of just like blabbing on, like no, but like yeah, like just ground myself and like see where I want to go from here. Absolutely, kind of reevaluate my life. But what about you?
Me, my biggest takeaway. I would say this year it would be take the baby steps. Okay. Take the baby steps to avoid complacency. Right. Like this podcast, I thought about it in January. Okay. I actually thought about it not even January, a couple of years ago. Actually.
Yeah, this is something we should have started a while ago.
100%. But like, I was building my main YouTube channel and it's growing, but I realized very quickly, oh, I've already been doing YouTube for like a year, almost a year and a half, and like, I dropped my last documentary. It's been a couple months since I dropped anything else. So I kind of get hard on myself as a creator with especially like not being not consistent. 100%. Like it 100% starts to mess with your mental health a little bit. So it's like, all right, long term, when am I going to start building upon all this other stuff that I want to do? Like the podcast. When am I going to do that? If I keep telling myself, all right, I'm going to do it at this point or at that point, I'm never going to get to it. Right. So I realized like, we're already over halfway through the year, and this is something that I thought about earlier this year, and I've made no progress in terms of starting it. So that's really what kind of got my ass in gear in terms of like, all right, let me just do it. Right. The same way I started my YouTube channel, and boom, it just started.
Right.
So it's like within 4 days of just reaching out to a logo designer, designing the logo and all the other stuff for the channel. Now I have a channel.
Right.
What other equipment do I need? Let me quickly invest in that and then start to build it.
Right.
And then boom, within like 3 weeks, I got one episode last week. We're doing this episode.
Right.
The TikTok is up. I'm going to do the Instagram and all this other stuff. And all of a sudden I got a podcast just like that. Right. So being able to remind myself to like keep putting in, even if it's 1%, just keep working towards that.
Right. And I think I see something big with this podcast too, especially with the amount of effort you put into the TikTok, especially with like just the added like videos and like pictures onto like just like small segments of the podcast. It definitely will help, I think, the brand in general grow.
Yeah.
Because it definitely, like I said earlier, like if we've been talking about this whole podcast,
yeah,
the more effort you put in, the more effort,
right?
The more you're rewarded at the end of the day. Like I've watched all the like the TikTok, the little mini segments. I think they're very well done.
Thank you.
I think the added like flair, like maybe you can't add like throughout the whole episode like pictures of what we're talking about or like things like that. You could.
Yeah.
But I think adding it to the TikTok kind of is like that instant gratification, and it's like, okay, now I want to see the rest.
Right.
Yeah.
Make those little things to make it more interesting. Yeah. That shit that I learned by like just doing it over last year.
Right.
And watching other people do it really well. Like I realized I have the tools to do it. Now I just gotta do it. And just kind of find that motivation. But shit, this isn't gonna be the last episode.
I know.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna have to get you back on here more consistently.
Yeah, we just gotta find more topics. Like we had a good amount of topics.
We did.
We didn't add many compared to what you already had on the agenda.
Yeah.
But I think let's take a quick look.
We covered just about everything. It's been
like 2.5 hours.
Yo, it's late.
Yeah, damn. Yeah.
We hit just about everything.
Yeah, we hit just about everything.
Yeah, and you know what? We'll have way more episodes. That's kind of the way I look at it. Like,
I think this will definitely be cut into 2. Like this, I feel like this will be episode 3.
We'll see how long it is total.
Yeah. Do you want to record like an intro in case this is episode 3? Just in case, just to have it in case, like when you go back and look, and you're like,
I'm gonna let it rock.
You're gonna let it rock.
I'm gonna let it be 1 episode.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'll put the disclaimer at the end. Like, this might be 3 episodes. This might be episode 3, episode 2.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
I guess you'll just see once you start editing.
Exactly. I'll see once I start editing. But Adam, Big Adam.
Yes, sir.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a long time coming.
I know. We usually have these long discussions anyway in person.
Yeah.
I think, especially like a lot of people around us gravitate towards our conversation, especially once we start having conversations like this in the gym. Like, a lot of people just like, what they talking about?
Exactly.
I think it's definitely a long time coming. Definitely, I feel like we should have more people on.
Oh, 100%.
We gotta bring Coach on.
Abraham. That's kind of how it starts, man.
The episode with Big Abraham's gonna be funny.
That's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna name that Demon Time. That's gonna be Demon Time episode.
The Demon Time podcast.
But no, like I initially thought about like possibly reaching out to bodybuilders and other like influential people in fitness.
Yeah.
And I realized like, the people in my own circle are already influential as it is.
Right.
And people are gonna want to watch. People want to watch Andrew's episode. There's so many people that follow your journey that are gonna want to watch this episode just to get more insight about you.
Yeah. And
you're gonna be big one day. So I'm gonna have this episode in the boat and be like, hey, he did like. We had this conversation at this point. So
yeah, I think we could touch up a lot more on the conversation we have.
Yeah.
It could like each topic that we covered could definitely be its own episode.
Oh yeah, 100%.
God damn.
But shit, in the meantime, I'm gonna just keep grinding at it.
Yes, sir.
Making more of the shorts, trying to get more visibility, more eyes on it, try to improve the production quality, all that stuff. But it's only up from here. Taking the baby steps.
Episode 2.
It's only episode 2.
Yeah.
Only episode 2. We got a lot more great episodes coming.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Living Large podcast. Thank you so much for watching episode 2. Big Adam. Once again, I appreciate everyone that's tuning in to watch.
Thank you.
We'll be back on the next episode.
Yeah.
We're out.
Damn, that was like 2.5 hours.
Yo, that was a minute. I looked down at the clock.
I was like, yeah. That's a story.